Chapter 1739. Princess Kitamura started when she heard how Qin Wendian referred to her. She inclined her head and stared at Qin Wendian with a strange look in her eyes. When she saw Qin Wendian's clear eyes, she lowered her head again. It was unknown what she was thinking in her heart. "What else are you hiding from me?" Qin Wendian stared at Princess Kitamura as he asked, his tone filled with a hint of rebuke. "There's one more thing. I wonder if Yi Qianyu has told you before." Back then in the lifelong Saint Hall, the lifelong Realm Lord was extremely unfriendly towards her and would often make Yi Qianyu dance for him to admire. Although Yi Qianyu felt humiliated in her heart, she endured it all for the sake of you. This was the reason why she was able to return and reunite with you later on. Princess Kitamura spoke in a light voice. Qin Wendian's expression grew colder as he listened. So it turned out that the lifelong Realm Lord was actually such a despicable character. Because he guessed that Qin Wendian was ancient Emperor Yi's disciple, he didn't dare to do anything to Qin Wendian. Hence, he treated Yi Qianyu and Baiming Yuhuang with extreme humiliation, making Yi Qianyu dance for him. This was simply intolerable. Not long ago, the lifelong Realm Lord sent me a message. He told me to hurry back and prepare for the wedding. The wedding will be announced during the banquet in the lifelong realm. In addition, he also said that he transferred Yi Qianyu to the lifelong Saint Hall, letting her be in charge of this matter. I think this isn't because he wanted to arrange the wedding but because he was worried that we wouldn't be able to return. Hence, he used Yi Qianyu as a hostage to threaten you and even intentionally told me to pass this message to him. Princess Kitamura felt some guilt. She then continued, "This matter arose because of me, implicating Yi Qianyu as well. How can you be blamed for this?" Qin Wendian sighed. Everything was because of the lifelong Realm Lord. He would definitely pay the price. Seems like the lifelong Realm Lord basically doesn't want us to have a choice. We have to return even if we don't want to. Qin Wendian spoke. Princess Kitamura naturally knew that given Qin Wendian's personality, he would definitely choose to return to the supreme ancient immortal realms. He has always been like this. Now that the lifelong Realm Lord used Yi Qianyu as a hostage, no matter what situation he faced, he would definitely head back to the lifelong realm. "If it doesn't work, I'll just marry him," Princess Kitamura said in a low voice, but her tone was a little gloomy. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Qin Wendian berated, causing Princess Kitamura to lift her head and stare at him in a daze. However, she only saw Qin Wendian's countenance was serious as he looked at her and said, "Since I know that he is such a despicable person, how can I allow you to marry such a person? If you really like him, I won't stop you, but he..." Qin Wendian spoke until here and didn't continue. His eyes flashed with killing intent. The things he has done, the ending of everything has already been determined. Princess Kitamura stared at Qin Wendian. She knew that Qin Wendian's killing intent had already been stirred up. Anyone who encountered such a situation and knew about it would also feel killing intent. What sort of character was Qin Wendian? He naturally wouldn't allow such a thing to happen to him. She knew that the previous Lifeire Empyrean was killed by Qin Wendian precisely because of this grudge. Right now, the lifelong Realm Lord seemed to be walking on the same path as the previous Lifeire Empyrean. However, this time around, the enemies Qin Wendian was facing were even more powerful. This was a world overlord who governed boundless territories. Below him, there were still 9 world palaces and experts from the various major powers in Lifelong City. There were also many Empyreans under him. If Qin Wendian really chose to fight against the lifelong Realm Lord, one could very well imagine how great the pressure would be. But, what should we do now? Princess Kitamura was after all a woman. Women were naturally weaker compared to men. This was something dictated by their nature. Although there were some women who were incomparably tough, they had to use their powerful wills to suppress their natural instincts. Princess Kitamura was usually someone with her own views, but for some reason, she seemed to be in a mess today. What else can we do? Let's make the necessary arrangements and prepare to return to the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wendian directly spoke. He had no other choice, he could only return. There were only a few years left until the grand banquet of the lifelong realm. It was already very short. The journey was extremely long and they still had to settle the matters here. Now, they had to start settling everything. Oh. Princess Kitamura replied, it was like she would do whatever Qin Wendian said. Although she was somewhat worried, she also heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. She made up her mind not to marry the lifelong realm lord. It was like a shackle in her heart had been released. She felt very relaxed. Prepare to gather everyone. Right now, the majority of them have already broken through to the Empyrean realm. I wonder if they want to continue staying here to cultivate or follow me to the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice. He then continued, Yu Huang, I'll leave first. Wait for my news. Emicham, Yu Huang nodded, she didn't say anything more. Since she had already made her decision, she should be prepared to face everything. Right now, so what if they really had to face the lifelong realm lord? Just like what Qin Wendian has said, after tens of years of cultivation, the majority of them have already broken through to the Empyrean realm. In addition, they also have powerful divine treasures in their divine depositories. If all of them return to the supreme ancient immortal realms, they would probably have the strength to fight against the lifelong realm lord's power. Naturally, the final outcome still depended on whether or not there was anyone who could deal with the lifelong realm lord. Most probably, only Qin Wendian would have the guts to do so. His cultivation plan was interrupted. After Qin Wendian left Princess Kitamura's place, he first transmitted his voice to Yi Qianyu. Where are you now? Why? Did you miss me? Yi Qianyu's laughter rang out in his mind. Tell me where you are now. If you don't tell me, I will go ask the others. Qin Wendian seriously spoke, sounding somewhat strict. It wasn't that he wanted to treat Yi Qianyu like this. It was just that this woman wasn't serious and wouldn't tell you the truth. Back then, she had suffered so much but she still didn't say anything, facing life with a smile on her face. She was such a woman, as beautiful as fire, incomparably demonic. You already know, I'm in the lifelong Saint Hall. The Realm Lord told me to come here to do something. Yi Qianyu spoke in a light voice. Qin Wendian could imagine her expression right now. It must be the kind of expression where she made a mistake but was extremely charming, causing people to not be able to bear to blame her. Did the lifelong Realm Lord do anything to you? Qin Wendian asked. Right now, the entire lifelong realm knows that I'm your woman. What else can he do to me? Don't worry, I'll be fine. Didn't you encounter some good fortune in the lower realms? You don't have to worry about me. Yi Qianyu spoke again, wanting to reassure Qin Wendian. How could Qin Wendian believe the words of this woman? He simply replied, wait for me. A single sentence surpassed 1,000 words, causing Yi Qianyu, who was in the supreme ancient immortal realm's lifelong realm, to reveal a mesmerizing smile. She was still as tyrannical and gentle as ever, truly causing people to be infatuated with her. Qin Wendian found Qing, and Qingcheng and told them everything. The two of them naturally knew of Yi Qianyu's existence. Qin Wendian has long told them about his experiences in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Both of them were the closest people in Qin Wendian's life and there were no secrets between them. In addition, Yi Qianyu's matter had to be told to them. After knowing that Yi Qianyu had sacrificed so much for Qin Wendian, they also wanted to see for themselves how charming this charming woman Qin Wendian spoke of was exactly. Right now, after hearing that Princess Kitamura had sacrificed so much for him, a strange look involuntarily appeared on Mo Qingqing's face. She smiled at Qin Wendian. I've long since advised you to start a harem. In that case, if those outstanding women want to join you, you can do so. In any case, Big Sis Qing, and I have no objections. Qin Wendian had a face filled with black lines. He pulled Mo Qingqing into his embrace and spoke gently, what if someone bullies you after I start a harem? There's no need to be afraid. In any case, Big Sis Qing, and I are on the same side. In addition, we are the main concubines. Mo Qingqing smiled. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. Although she felt some jealousy in her heart, it wasn't too intense. She had long understood that with Qin Wentian by his side, how could there be a lack of outstanding women who liked him? In the azure mystic immortal realms, there were many beauties by his side. Could it be that she and Qin couldn't tell what they were thinking? Also, both of them had told Qin Wentian before that as long as Qin Wentian liked them, they wouldn't say anything. As for the jealousy in her heart, it was because in the supreme ancient immortal realms, the ones who accompanied Qin Wentian and sacrificed so much for Qin Wentian were Yi Qianyu and Princess Kitamura, not her. This caused her to feel some disappointment in her heart. Silly. Qin Wentian gently planted a kiss on Mo Qingqing's forehead, causing her face to instantly turn red. She glared at him before stealthily glancing at Qing. Big sis Qing, is still here. Ha, it's not like I haven't hugged two beauties before. Qin Wentian laughed loudly, pulling Qing into his embrace as well. The pitiful Mo Qingqing and Qing were completely speechless when faced with this shameless fellow. They could only silently endure Qin Wentian's bullying. Wentian, no matter what you do, I will support you. But this time when you return, you are not allowed to cast us aside. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian as she seriously spoke. Everything else could be left up to Qin Wentian, including the girls he liked. However, she had to be by his side no matter what. This was the only thing she couldn't compromise on. Qin Wentian bitterly smiled. He really did have such thoughts. After all, the person he was going to the supreme ancient immortal realms this time around was the lifelong realm lord. But when he saw Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes as well as Qing's cold gaze, Qin Wentian knew that there was no room for discussion. He could only nod his head. Okay, I will bring you guys along. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's promise, a charming smile instantly appeared on Mo Qingqing's face as she gently leaned into his embrace. Qin Wentian felt a myriad of emotions in his heart. What virtue or ability did he have exactly to make so many outstanding females give up so much for him? Several days later, at the location where the heavenly deities held Tao lectures, before the imperishable Heaven Lord statue, everyone had arrived. Naturally, they were all gathered here by Qin Wentian. Not a single one of them was left behind. Right now, there was no need to doubt Qin Wentian's rallying power. Regardless of elders or friends, Qin Wentian was the absolute center of their hearts. There was no need to mention the people from the Battle Saint tribe and the myriad Devil Islands, they were all considered to be Qin Wentian's subordinates. Has everyone made a decision? Let me reiterate, if there are people who are willing to stay here to cultivate, I will still respect your choice. Qin Wentian spoke. Before this, he had already communicated with everyone. Since they came here, all of them expressed their willingness to follow him to the supreme ancient immortal realms. No one said anything. Everyone was willing to head to the supreme ancient immortal realms. After cultivating for so many years, in truth, they also wanted to go there to broaden their horizons. Right now, they had a blind trust in Qin Wentian. This was a young man who could create miracles. Chapter 1740. In Heaven Empyrean city of Azure Mystic, the experts of the various powers gathered their subordinates. The Dark North Immortal Emperor summoned his descendants, the Southern Phoenix Matriarch summoned her holy maidens and future holy maidens, the 100 Refinements sect and Jadestige Immortal Palace did the same as well, instructing them on what to do after they left. Before this, when the Dark North Immortal Emperor and the others entered ancient Azure Mystic, they brought some core immortal emperors with them. It was the same for the Namhuang clan as well. Although everyone was willing to follow Qin Wentian to the supreme ancient immortal realms, Azure Mystic couldn't be left without people. Hence, they decided to temporarily leave those immortal emperors behind to control the situation in Azure Mystic. At the same time, they also gathered their subordinates here because they wanted to pass on the inheritance to them. Everything happened too suddenly. Those who were gathered here from the various powers were all stunned. They didn't expect that after disappearing for tens of years, the leaders of the various powers would actually pass on their positions to their descendants. If news of this spread out, it would definitely cause a huge earthquake in the Azure Mystic Immortal realms. This was a collective handover of power. When has such a major event ever happened in Azure Mystic before? Azure Mystic hasn't completely calmed down yet, the handover of power was a must. There was a need for people to stay behind as well. If not, the newly established order in Heaven Empyrean City might be directly broken, causing chaos to descend into Azure Mystic again. Also, Qin Wendian chose to temporarily let Di Tian stay behind to protect Azure Mystic. If there was a chance, Di Tian could represent him to enter the Sky City of ancient Azure Mystic again. Not only were the people from the various powers shocked, even Su Li and the other experts from the Lifire Palace who were brought to the lower world by Qin Wendian were stunned as well. They discovered that after this trip to ancient Azure Mystic, after tens of years, those who left with Qin Wendian all underwent a transformation. Many of their auras were completely different. They had no way to sense their exact cultivation bases, but it was very possible that they have already broken through the gate of the Immortal Emperor realm. This caused them to feel extremely envious. The monarchs and governors of the Lifire Palace all stared at Qin Wendian with a different look in their eyes. Was this the ability and charm of this new palace lord? Sadly, they haven't become his trusted subordinates yet. If not, they might have a share of the good fortune this time around. Naturally, they wouldn't have any bad thoughts. After all, they understood that they were subordinates of the previous Lifire Empyrean. After Qin Wendian took over, it was already considered very good that he didn't do anything to them. It was impossible for him to treat them as his trusted subordinates. In addition, even Yi Qianyu's subordinate Su Li wasn't brought along. What complaints could they have? However, some people silently vowed in their hearts that they would definitely follow this new Lifire Empyrean well in the future. Their future would all depend on him. After everything was settled, Qin Wendian decided to set off. Today, many of his family and friends gathered in Heaven Empyrean City to send him off. His foster father Qin Chuan, Yi Qingyun, his elder sister Qin Yao, Yi Linyun, his friends Ouyang, Fan Le, Luo Huan, Lin Shuai and the others, all these familiar faces were present. Right now, there was no need for them to return to their particle worlds. This entire world belonged to the Heaven Empyrean, Qin Wendian. Everything here belonged to them and they no longer had to depend on others. If they wanted to cultivate, they could cultivate. If they wanted to get resources, they could get resources. If they wanted to live a carefree life, they could do so. Qin Wendian told them to stay in Heaven Empyrean City peacefully. When they felt bored, they could go out to temper themselves. When they missed their hometown, they could just ask immortal emperors to send them back to their particle worlds for a period of time. He believed that there wouldn't be any immortal emperors who would reject such a request. Right now, everyone wanted nothing more than to form a good relationship with the Heaven Empyrean. As long as they made a request, there would surely be many people who would respond. During these years, everyone could also feel how imposing Qin Wendian was now. When a man achieved the Tao, even his chickens and dogs could ascend to the heavens. Such a happy life, what else could they not think about? If they wanted to improve further, they could only rely on the resources here to cultivate. Fairy Qingmei stared at her disciple, feeling a little reluctance in her heart. The supreme ancient immortal realms? That place was simply too far away to her. The people of the Mo residence gathered around Mo Qingcheng. This was especially so for her parents. Her younger siblings were all staring at Qin Wendian. Brother-in-law, are you not going to guide us in our cultivation anymore? Brother-in-law has something important to do. There are many immortal emperors in the Heaven Empyrean Palace, it's enough for them to guide you guys. You guys can seek guidance from them, I won't be able to guide you personally. Qin Wendian gently spoke. Stinking brat, we always spend more time apart than together. Be more careful outside. Luo Huan glared at Qin Wendian as she spoke. Understood, senior sister. Qin Wendian bitterly smiled. Take good care of Qingcheng and Qing. If you dare to bully them, be careful that your senior sister will deal with you. How would I dare to? It's fine as long as they don't bully me. Qin Wendian smiled. After that, he bowed to Qin Chuan, Yi Qingyun and the other elders. This child is unfilial and has to travel far away. In the future, when I have a stable footing in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, I will definitely bring father to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms and we will always be together. Go on, we have lived for so many years, we don't need you to worry about us. Just be careful when you are outside. Qin Chuan smiled. Qin Wendian nodded. This scene felt very familiar. Back then when he left his particle world, he had experienced such a scene as well. But this time around, there were many people following him. His two beloved wives, Qingcheng and Qing, many elders like Changqing the Great, Bai Wuya and the others, as well as many friends like Jun Mengchen, Nam Huang Yunxi, Purgatory, Little Rascal, Bai Qing, and even many subordinates. This time around, he brought a powerful force with him, he wasn't as lonely as before. Let's move out. Qin Wendian spoke. After that, the group of them departed from the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Right now, the spatial passageway connecting the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms to the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms has already been established. This spatial passageway was built by a few extremely powerful powers, but it wasn't free. Every time they wanted to use it, they would have to pay a hefty price. But even so, there would still be people coming in and out of the spatial passageway and they would be able to earn huge profits from it. Such an opportunity was naturally seized by some powers. In a short period of time, this might not be considered much. But this definitely wasn't a short-term profit. As long as they occupied this spatial passageway, in the future, in the thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years, how terrifying would the profits be? To those peak powers, they had never lacked foresight and foresight. The loosening of the seal on Azure Mystic was naturally an opportunity for them. They would naturally seize it. This also made things more convenient for Qin Wendian. Right now, he didn't have the strength to establish a spatial passageway connecting the immortal realms. He could only allow those peak powers of the immortal realms to do so, he wouldn't interfere. Borrowing the power of the spatial passageway, after paying a hefty price, the group of them directly crossed the immortal realms and returned to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. However, the distance between them and the lifelong realm was extremely far. After traveling for a very long period of time, only then did Qin Wendian bring the experts from the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms back to the Lifire Palace. In the Lifire Palace, Yi Qianyu was no longer there. The evil emperor also followed her back to the lifelong Saint Hall. After Qin Wendian returned, he directly informed the governors, monarchs, protectors, and the others to gather here for a discussion. Everyone used their fastest speed to head to the Lifire Palace. In the Lifire Great Hall, Qin Wendian sat on the throne. Experts around him were as common as clouds, all of them exuding transcendent auras. Other than him, there were two other supreme beauties sitting on his left and right respectively. Their beauty was extremely outstanding, resembling goddesses. Your subordinates pay our respects to Palace Lord. Everyone bowed in unison. On the way here, Qin Wendian had already told his friends and family about his situation in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Hence, everyone didn't feel surprised. They were only shocked at Qin Wendian's capabilities. He came here alone to roam the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms and actually became a palace lord. All the immortal emperors bowed to him. If it wasn't for the sake of peace in Azure Mystic, in truth, Qin Wendian wouldn't even be bothered by their strength. These two are my wives, Evergreen Qing, and Evergreen Qing, Qin Wendian solemnly introduced. From now onwards, the two of them would follow him by his side. His subordinates naturally had to be acquainted with each other. We pay our respects to Madam. Everyone bowed again, extremely courteous, not daring to show any disrespect in their eyes. They had all heard of some news. Yi Qianyu was brought to the lifelong Saint Hall because the Realm Lord was unhappy with the lifelong Empyrean. They had no idea what would happen in the banquet this time around. Right now, the lifelong Empyrean's heart was filled with rage. It was best for them not to antagonize the lifelong Empyrean or the consequences would be extremely dire. Is the grand banquet of the lifelong realm about to commence soon? Qin Wendian asked the experts here. Replying to Palace Lord, it will be held a few months later. Qin Wendian nodded. Everyone, do your best to handle the matter regarding the tributes well. There's also one more thing I have to inform everyone in advance. I'm sure everyone already knows about the matter of Yi Qianyu being invited to the lifelong Saint Hall by the Realm Lord, right? Everyone instantly shut their mouths when they heard this. This matter implicated the lifelong Realm Lord, and it was truly a little too sensitive. At this moment, it was best for them to keep their mouths shut. If they spoke too much, it would be easy for them to make mistakes. They couldn't afford to offend anyone. I'm afraid that the Realm Lord is somewhat unhappy with me. This time around, it's hard for me to continue sitting on my position as the Lifefire Palace Lord. If I'm really stripped of my position by the Realm Lord, I might have to leave. In the future, everyone will definitely do your best to work for the Realm Lord. Naturally, if there are people who are willing to follow me, I won't let everyone down. Qin Wendian spoke. Upon hearing Qin Wendian's straightforward words, the eyes of the various monarchs and governors flickered unceasingly. There was a deeper meaning to his words. It was just that at such a time, should they express their loyalty and follow him? If they did so, the Realm Lord would definitely hear of it. At that time, it would mean that they really wanted to follow Qin Wendian and leave. In such a situation, words couldn't be casually spoken. Maybe the Realm Lord doesn't have such intentions. Palace Lord is just thinking too much. A monarch spoke. That's right. The Palace Lord has the trust of the Realm Lord. Why would the Realm Lord touch the Palace Lord's position? The few of them spoke one after another. Although they seemed to be talking nonsense, this was also a kind of attitude. All of them were saying that nothing would happen to Qin Wendian. But if something really happened to Qin Wendian, they clearly wouldn't follow him. Qin Wendian smiled as he nodded his head at the crowd. That gaze of his caused many in the crowd to shiver. They had already offended Qin Wendian. Chapter 1741. Qin Wendian stared at the crowd and waved his hands. Everyone, you can leave now. Once your preparations are done, come back to the Lifefire Palace and follow me back to Lifelong City. Yes, Palace Lord. Everyone bowed and bid their farewell. After that, they departed respectively. Naturally, Su Li and the others who followed Qin Wendian to the lower world stayed behind. Mo Fei was here as well. Right now, Mo Fei was a protector of the Lifefire Palace. Palace Lord, does the lifelong Realm Lord really intend to take over your position? Mo Fei walked over and asked. What if I tell you that the situation is even more serious than this? What would you think? Qin Wendian smiled at Mo Fei. This caused Mo Fei's gaze to freeze before he bitterly smiled. Palace Lord, has Vice Palace Lord Di Tian not returned yet? Mo Fei didn't know that Qin Wendian and Di Tian were the same person. Back then, they made a bet on Di Tian and had a very good relationship with him. Protector Mo, you can leave first. Qin Wendian nodded lightly. Mo Fei should be contacting Di Tian. After everyone left, Qin Wendian silently mused. For these people who left today, he could consider replacing them with his own people in the future. Di Tian had already nurtured a batch of people. As for the Empyreans he brought with him, they would naturally follow him in the future. The lifelong Saint Hall should receive the news soon. Su Li spoke to Qin Wendian in a light voice. Since I've already returned, the Realm Lord shouldn't be suspicious anymore. Qianyu's side is naturally safe as well. Everything will just have to wait for the lifelong banquet. Qin Wendian mumbled. After that, the lifelong Realm Lord sent a voice transmission to Princess Kitamura, asking why Princess Kitamura didn't return directly. Princess Kitamura replied that her father was in the Lifefire Palace and she asked the Realm Lord to allow her to stay for a few more days. In the lifelong Saint Hall, the lifelong Realm Lord's expression was extremely unsightly after he received Princess Kitamura's reply. There was no one else in front of him, only his personal disciple, the Sky Air Empyrean, was present. Master, is she unwilling to come? The Sky Air Palace Lord asked when he saw the lifelong Realm Lord's expression. Slut, it seems like what you said was right. The two of them really did have an improper relationship. If you hadn't discovered it this time, my illustrious reputation would have been tarnished. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly spoke. With Princess Kitamura staying in the Lifefire Palace, he would naturally think of some despicable things. I heard that Qin Wentian even brought his wife back. He even summoned the various monarchs and governors, telling them that Master is unhappy with him and might strip him of his position as Palace Lord. He asked them what their choice would be. The Sky Air Palace Lord laughed. As for Qin Wentian, he should still be in the dark right now. He probably didn't know anything at all. Did he just remove his position as the Lifefire Palace Lord? Wasn't his thinking a little too simple? He actually dared to bring his wife and loved ones to the Lifefire Palace. He simply didn't know the immensity of death. He wants people to follow him. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly laughed. Did he treat those monarchs and governors as fools? If he was unhappy with the Lifefire Empyrean, who would dare to follow him? Could it be that they were tired of living? He was the true master of the lifelong realm. How ridiculous, he doesn't have any self-awareness at all. The Sky Air Palace Lord mocked. However, this disciple also heard that this Qin Wentian really knows how to enjoy life. Not only is Yi Qianyu so beautiful, his two wives are also supreme beauties. In addition, Princess Kitamura's beauty is also outstanding. He truly knows how to enjoy life. The lifelong Realm Lord's eyes flashed with coldness when he heard this. When the matter of Princess Kitamura was mentioned, he felt extremely unhappy. This was simply a humiliation to him. The woman who agreed to be his wife actually had an unclear relationship with Qin Wentian. What did they treat him as? In this lifelong realm, his subordinates actually dared to humiliate him like this. Why? Do you have any thoughts about it? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at his disciple and smiled. If you like it, do you want me to bestow it to you? This disciple doesn't have such interests. It's just that Princess Kitamura's body is in tatters and she actually dared to lie to Master. Such an act must be severely punished. As for these women, we should make proper arrangements for them in the future. The Sky Air Palace Lord sinisterly spoke. This pair of master and disciple were both major characters of their respective regions, but right now, they were actually discussing such an unbearable topic. Because, the lifelong Realm Lord felt that he was humiliated by his subordinates. As for the Sky Air Palace Lord, he naturally wanted to take revenge on Qin Wentian. He still couldn't forget that humiliating sword strike in the ancient battlefield. Let them enjoy life for a few more days. The lifelong Realm Lord wasn't in a hurry. He could directly head to the Lifefire Palace and capture Qin Wentian right now. But if he did so, it would be beneath his status. If news of this matter were to spread out, it wouldn't be good for his reputation. This was something he absolutely couldn't tolerate. Hence, he decided to wait until the lifelong banquet started and Qin Wentian delivered himself to his doorstep. As for Princess Kitamura, did she still think that he would announce her marriage? How ridiculous. Qin Wentian didn't know what the lifelong Realm Lord was thinking. He only inquired about Yi Qianyu's situation. Right now, the lifelong Realm Lord only imprisoned her in the lifelong Saint Hall, not allowing her to leave, and didn't do anything to her. Today, Jialan Yuntian of the Jialan clan went to look for Qin Wentian. Right now, there were many people from the Jialan clan working in the Lifefire Palace. Jialan Qiuyue also seriously reminded the Jialan clan to maintain a good relationship with Qin Wentian no matter what. Hence, after Jialan Yuntian learned that something might have happened in the lifelong realm, he personally brought Jialan Qiuyue here to pay a visit. At this moment, Qin Wentian was dressed in simple white robes. Jialan Qiuyue stared at his handsome figure as a complicated look flashed in her eyes. She would never be able to forget the shock in her heart when Qin Wentian removed his mask. Jialan clan leader, what's the matter? Qin Wentian asked. I heard that Palace Lord regathered the various monarchs and governors, saying that the Realm Lord is unhappy with Palace Lord and might remove him from his position. Jalan Yuntian asked. That's true. Qin Wentian nodded. Logically speaking, if Qin Wentian was removed, the person who would take over the Lifeire Palace Lord's position would most likely be Di Tian. However, Jalan Chuyue knew that things wouldn't be so simple. At the very least, it wouldn't be as simple as what Qin Wentian said. Hence, she urged Jalan Yuntian to come and meet with Qin Wentian. Palace Lord, do you have any countermeasures? Jalan Yuntian asked. What countermeasures can I take? Qin Wentian smiled. Jalan Yuntian stared at him, he didn't believe it. Back then, Qin Wentian joined forces with Di Tian and pulled the previous Lifeire Palace Lord down from his high horse, even killing him before he ascended to his current position. Would he admit defeat so easily and allow the lifelong Realm Lord to remove him from his position? Regardless of his intuition or Jalan Chuyue, both were reminding him that Qin Wentian wasn't a simple character. Palace Lord, do you have anything you need my Jalan clan to do? Jalan Yuntian directly spoke after a moment of silence, his words causing Qin Wentian to stare at him. This time, his opponent was the Lifeire Empyrean. The Jalan clan actually dared to stand on his side. Although the Jalan clan wanted to seize the position of one of the 9 world palace lords, this was something they could do with their current strength. However, the Realm Lord was the true ruler of the boundless territories, a supreme existence. This was also why Qin Wentian didn't have any intentions of getting reinforcements. There was basically no way for him to do so. Because, the enemy was the Realm Lord, the master of the lifelong realm. If I give the command, would the Jalan clan dare to obey? Qin Wentian casually laughed, his words causing Jalan Yuntian's heart to tremble. These words contained a hidden meaning. Just like what he had guessed, this matter definitely wouldn't be so simple. There was a high possibility that the scene that happened in the Lifeire Palace back then would play out in the lifelong realm. However, the ending couldn't be seen clearly and it seemed like it was already destined. But back then, didn't everyone predict the ending as well? But who would have guessed it correctly? Right now, the person sitting on the Lifeire Empyrean seat was none other than Qin Wentian. I have no say in this, I have to consult my father. Jalan Yuntian spoke. Since this is the case, what else is there for the Jalan clan leader to say? Qin Wentian laughed. He then turned to Jalan Chuyue, is Miss Chuyue doing well? Jalan Chuyue cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian and replied, what if I don't say? If you are free, you can come to the Lifeire Palace for a walk. Qin Wentian didn't directly reply. Jalan Chuyue was in love with Di Tian but he couldn't accept such feelings. In truth, he also understood in his heart that right now, there were already many women who were entangled with him. For some things, it was better to break it off when it was time. Palace Lord. Jalan Yuntian suddenly spoke. The Jalan clan is a clan after all. It's impossible for us to die for the lifelong Realm Lord. But if Palace Lord truly has the ability to defy the heavens and change fate, the Jalan clan is willing to follow you. Qin Wentian glanced at Jalan Yuntian. Actually, he was very clear in his heart that if the lifelong Realm Lord could suppress him, who would dare to stand beside him? He had already hinted that a war might break out. Jalan Yuntian had the intention to follow him but the prerequisite was that Qin Wentian had to be able to deal with the lifelong Realm Lord. Because, although it could be said that Jalan Yuntian was willing to follow Qin Wentian, there was no meaning to it. This was something that couldn't satisfy both sides. If Qin Wentian could really topple the lifelong Realm Lord, who would dare to not follow him? I understand. You can go now. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Jalan Yuntian had a bitter smile on his face when he saw Qin Wentian's attitude. He then stood up and said, I'll take my leave first. After speaking, he brought Jalan Chuyue away. Qin Wentian still sat there with a look of contemplation on his face. But at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind, Qin Wentian, I heard that you offended the lifelong Realm Lord. Qin Wendian immediately took out his messaging crystal and replied. Is it troublesome? The other party asked. There might be a head-on conflict. Qin Wendian replied. The other party started before he exclaimed in shock, seems like you must have encountered some good fortune in the lower world. Do you want me to inform Master? Senior E can come. Qin Wendian was shocked. The person who transmitted the message to him was none other than the Gemini Palace Lord. I don't dare to guarantee it. The other party replied. If Senior E can come, this junior will naturally be filled with gratitude. Qin Wendian replied. It's fine if he can't, I will do my best. Oh yeah, I've brought many people from the Battle Saint tribe over to the Lifefire Palace. This time around, I'll let you guys meet them when we head to Lifelong City. The other party started when he heard this. After that, he smiled, I didn't expect that I would still be able to meet a junior. Wendian, thank you. Chapter 1742. The grand banquet of the Lifelong Realm that was held once every 100 years was always the grandest event in the Lifelong Realm. In Lifelong City, experts were as common as clouds. Experts from all the major and minor powers of the Lifelong Realm were all gathered here. This was another grand banquet that would only happen once every 100 years. There were even some powers who wanted to come and take a look at it. It was rumored that during the previous grand banquet, Qin Wendian and Di Tian's names shook the entire Lifelong Realm. They rose to fame after a single battle, defeating all the immortal emperors of the 9 world palaces and obtaining the recognition of the Realm Lord. After that, the two of them joined forces in Lifefire City and killed the Lifefire Empyrean, replacing him. Qin Wendian became the Lifefire Empyrean while Di Tian became the Vice Palace Lord. Right now, Qin Wendian and Di Tian have already broken through to the Empyrean realm. There was naturally no need for them to contend against immortal emperors. They would send their subordinates to participate in the sparring between the 9 world palaces. It was unknown who would become famous this time around. At the grand banquet that was held once every 100 years, they would still have the chance to meet the famous characters of the 9 world palaces. The legendary Lifelong Realm Lord, as well as the Empyrean of the Desolate Heaven Palace, the Lifefire Empyrean and others. Many people were filled with anticipation. The peak powers of Lifelong City and the 9 world palaces would also come to participate. Lifelong City was bustling with activity, many people were filled with anticipation. However, they didn't realize that a storm was brewing in the darkness. Maybe, it would be a bolt of lightning, but at the very least, it was still calm and tranquil. Only a minority of the core powers could feel the commotion. For example, the Xianyuan clan, Jialan clan, and the other major powers. The Sky Air Palace Lord and Gemini Palace Lord naturally knew about this as well. Qin Wendian led the experts of the Lifefire Palace and arrived in Lifelong City. The Lifelong Saint Hall naturally received the news. The Lifelong Realm Lord coldly laughed in his heart. As expected, Qin Wendian still had no idea what was going on. In the end, he still took the initiative to send himself here. He simply doesn't know the immensity of death. Qin Wendian and Princess Kitamura were in cahoots with each other, actually scheming against him. This was simply a humiliation to him. He wanted to make Qin Wendian lose all face during the lifelong banquet. Right now, Qin Wendian and his group were temporarily staying in the Jialan clan. Their arrival caused many people to pay their respects because everyone still didn't know about his relationship with the Lifelong Realm Lord. With regards to this new Lifefire Empyrean, everyone felt that his future was boundless and they naturally wanted to maintain a good relationship with him. Naturally, there were also some people who received news that the Lifelong Saint Hall had already sent people to bring Yi Qianyu to the Lifelong Saint Hall a long time ago. This might seem like an insignificant matter, but if one thought about Yi Qianyu's identity, it would be extremely strange. Don't forget that back then, Yi Qianyu was once imprisoned in the Lifelong Saint Hall. Hence, some powers sensed an unusual aura and didn't pay a visit to Qin Wendian, the Lifefire Empyrean, choosing to maintain some distance from him. If the Realm Lord was truly unhappy with Qin Wendian and learned that they were close to Qin Wendian, things would be extremely bad. But at this moment, the Jialan clan, who clearly already knew the truth, actually allowed Qin Wentian to stay in their clan. This was extremely meaningful. As for Qin Wentian, he naturally understood the meaning behind this. Right now, Jialan Jiangshan and the other core members of the Jialan clan were together with Qin Wentian. Jialan Jiangshan had tried to seize the position of a palace lord twice, but he failed both times. In truth, he felt extremely defeated in his heart. But when he saw Qin Wentian and Di Tian back then, he could only sigh in admiration. The new generation was replacing the old. After receiving Jialan Yintian's report, he understood that the Jialan clan was about to welcome another opportunity. It's just that this opportunity might require them to place a huge bet. If they were careless, they might implicate the entire Jialan clan. Palace Lord Qin, I'll get straight to the point. I've already forbidden outsiders from entering this place. Since Palace Lord Qin clearly knows that the Realm Lord might target you this time around, are you prepared to fight against the Realm Lord? Jialan Jiangshan directly asked. You should know why I wanted the Life-Fire Empyrean to die back then, right? Now that the Realm Lord has brought Yi Qianyu to the lifelong Saint Hall, I have no choice but to come. Qin Wentian calmly spoke, his words causing Jialan Jiangshan to feel shock in his heart. That's right. This situation was very similar to the Life-Fire Empyrean back then. But back then, Qin Wentian's enemy was the Life-Fire Empyrean. This time around, his enemy was even stronger, they couldn't even be mentioned in the same breath. Because, his opponent was the lifelong Realm Lord. Palace Lord Qin, do you have 50% confidence? Jialan Jiangshan stared at Qin Wentian as he asked again. So what if I do? So what if I don't? Qin Wentian replied. If Palace Lord Qin has a 50% chance of success, our Jialan clan is willing to gamble our lives and follow Palace Lord Qin. But if we don't even have a 50% chance, our Jialan clan will not participate in this. At that time, we will not participate in the lifelong banquet. Jialan Jiangshan spoke. If they participated in this, if the Realm Lord gave the order, the entire lifelong realm would have to listen to him. Who would dare to defy him? 50% confidence was the bottom line of the Jialan clan. If they could, they were willing to gamble once more. Isn't the Jialan clan afraid that I will make use of you all again? Qin Wentian spoke. This was equivalent to him admitting that he made use of the Jialan clan back then. Naturally, everything was already in the past. The Jialan clan also knew this in their hearts. This time around is different from the past. Back then, Palace Lord Qin already had a grudge with my Jialan clan. Now that the Jialan monarch has died, the grudge has already been resolved. Just like how Jialan Chuyue has faith in Palace Lord Qin, I'm still willing to trust Palace Lord Qin once more. Jialan Jiangshan spoke. Even if I say I do, what can the Jialan clan do for me? You guys have to understand that if I really have the strength to contend against the Realm Lord, I don't lack the Jialan clan. Qin Wentian's words were straightforward. Back then, since I dared to vie for the position of the Life-Fire Palace Lord, this proves that I have some connections in the lifelong Saint Hall. In Lifelong City, I'm also familiar with many major powers and might be able to influence some of them. Naturally, the prerequisite is that you have enough strength to let others know that you can contend against the lifelong Realm Lord. In addition, you definitely don't know that the Desolate Heaven Palace Lord, the strongest of the 9 world palaces in the lifelong realm, actually has an extremely bad relationship with the Realm Lord. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. There was actually such a thing. Since this is the case, would the Realm Lord still allow him to exist? Qin Wentian spoke. Based on his current understanding of the lifelong Realm Lord, the Realm Lord was definitely not a magnanimous person. This matter involves a secret, the people in the outside world wouldn't know about it. Also, if news of this spreads out, it would be a scandal for the Realm Lord. Jialan Jiangshan spoke. There are rumors in the outside world saying that the Realm Lord wants to accept the Desolate Heaven Palace Lord as a disciple. Palace Lord Qin, do you know about this? I've heard of it before. Qin Wentian nodded. Once, when the desolate Heaven Palace Lord was working under the Realm Lord, he got to know a maiden with extraordinary beauty and talent named Fairy Bue. It's rumored that the maiden's beauty could even cause the moon to blush. The two of them admired each other, but the lifelong Realm Lord suddenly interfered, snatching Fairy Bue away, taking her into the harem of the lifelong Saint Hall, and even gave birth to a son for him. He knew that the desolate Heaven Palace Lord hated him out of jealousy and wanted to accept Fairy Bue as a disciple. In such a situation, how could the desolate Heaven Palace Lord agree? It was precisely because he didn't agree that the Realm Lord wanted to eliminate him. However, Fairy Bue and the desolate Heaven Palace Lord truly had feelings for each other. What was the reason for her to compromise? She naturally wouldn't allow the desolate Heaven Palace Lord to be harmed. Jialan Jiangshan slowly spoke. The gist of the matter is as such, but I'm not too clear about the details. In any case, although the desolate Heaven Palace is the #1 palace, the desolate Heaven Palace Lord is very low profile and rarely makes a move. His position is unshakable, but once he has the strength to threaten the lifelong Realm Lord, the lifelong Realm Lord would definitely not spare him. However, I guess given the character of the desolate Heaven Palace Lord, he would definitely take revenge. It's just that he doesn't have the strength to do so and has been enduring silently. Qin Wentian felt even more rage in his heart when he heard this. This matter was very similar to the conditions the lifelong Realm Lord set for Princess Kitamura. He didn't expect that the lifelong Realm Lord actually had such a record. He was simply despicable to the extreme, using his status as the lifelong Realm Lord to do whatever he wanted, treating the world as his own, even seizing the women of his subordinates. What do you mean by saying all this? Qin Wentian asked. I can try to persuade the desolate Heaven Palace Lord. If you can truly display the strength to contend against the lifelong Realm Lord, he would definitely respond to you and cause a huge commotion during the lifelong banquet. Even the subordinates of the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't dare to act recklessly. At that time, the pressure on you would be greatly reduced. Jialan Jiangshan spoke. Qin Wentian nodded his head. This was logical. Naturally, the prerequisite was that he had to have the strength to contend against the lifelong Overlord, and he would have to display it during the lifelong banquet. At this moment, a person suddenly walked in from outside. Jialan Jiangshan frowned. Didn't I say that no one is to disturb me? That person bowed. The people from the Xianyuan clan said that they are here to pay a visit with the Xianyuan Palace Lord, saying that they have something important to report. That's why the Xianyuan clan. What are they doing here? Jialan Jiangshan asked with some bewilderment. They are here to look for me. Qin Wentian smiled. Seems like the communication between Di Tian and the Xianyuan clan was quite effective. It wasn't appropriate for the Xianyuan Palace Lord to appear personally, hence, he brought someone here to pass a message. He wondered what the message was. Jialan Jiangshan's eyes flashed as he cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. Seems like Qin Wentian was also plotting something in the dark. Let's meet them then. Jialan Jiangshan stood up. Everyone walked towards the front of the king, and soon after, they saw Xianyuan Hao. Back then when Di Tian came here for the first time, the person he saw was none other than Xianyuan Hao, representing the Xianyuan clan to form a marriage alliance with the Jialan clan. Palace Lord Qin. Xianyuan Hao clasped his hands. After we parted ways in ancient Azure Mystic, I wonder if the Xianyuan Palace Lord has any message for me? Qin Wentian smiled as he asked. The Palace Lord wants me to pass a message that he will treat the lifelong banquet seriously. Xianyuan Hao spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed, treating it seriously. What did these words mean exactly? Just a single message? Qin Wentian asked. The Palace Lord only wants me to pass this message. Xianyuan Hao bitterly smiled. In truth, he also had no idea what was going on. I understand. Qin Wentian calmly replied. Seems like the Xianyuan Palace Lord was telling him that he would observe the situation and wouldn't directly target him. Although he didn't promise anything, this was also a form of goodwill. The Xianyuan Palace Lord didn't want to offend him. Jialan Jiangshan's eyes flashed. Seems like the undercurrents were surging. This time around, something major was going to happen in the lifelong banquet. Chapter 1743. Outside the lifelong Saint Hall, at the top of the 10,000-meter flight of stairs, the statue of the lifelong Realm Lord could be seen, receiving the worship of countless people. When the grand banquet began, the 10 towering platforms were constructed once more. The World Palace Lords occupied 9 of them, and in the center, there was a gigantic training ground where the competition would be held. At this moment, there were already countless people gathered below the towering platforms, coming here to watch the grand banquet. This time around, I wonder who will be the most dazzling out of the 9 world palaces. Someone mused silently as he stared at the towering platforms. I heard that the Kungvutter Palace Lord went to the lower realms and died during a mission the Realm Lord set up. Right now, there's still no one to take over the position of the Kungvutter Palace Lord. There's a high possibility that the Realm Lord would appoint a new Kungvutter Palace Lord during this banquet. Seems like this is an opportunity for many powers. There would surely be many contending for the position of the new Kungvutter Palace Lord in the dark. In the previous banquet, 2 supreme geniuses appeared in the Lifeire Palace. Qin Wendian and Di Tian, causing the Lifeire Palace to be in the limelight, almost stealing the glory of the desolate Heaven Palace. Sadly, that generation's Lifeire Palace Lord didn't enjoy this treatment for long before he was killed by the 2 supreme geniuses under him. This time around, Qin Wendian and Di Tian will be the new Lifeire Palace Lord and Di Tian. I wonder if the Lifeire Palace would be able to steal the glory of the other world palaces. Many people discussed. The date of the grand banquet finally arrived. Outside the lifelong realm, the atmosphere was extremely lively. It was unknown how many experts were gathered here. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord has arrived. This time around, the desolate Heaven Palace Lord is actually the first among the 9 world palaces to arrive. Someone had a bewildered look on his face as he stared at a group of experts in the distance. These experts were all from the desolate Heaven Palace, and the person in the lead was none other than the desolate Heaven Palace Lord. There were many peak powers of the desolate Heaven Palace around him. After the desolate Heaven Palace Lord arrived, he directly landed on a tall platform and sat on the throne. The other experts also sat down according to their order. The Xianyuan Palace Lord has arrived. Many people glanced in another direction. When the Xianyuan Palace Lord arrived, he glanced at the imposing desolate Heaven Palace Lord, but he didn't greet him and directly sat down. Soon after, the experts of the Dragon Saddle Palace, Scarlet Origin Palace, Gengmetal Palace, and Gemini Palace arrived one after another. The arrival of each group would cause a commotion and discussion. We have arrived at the Lifeire Palace. At this moment, many figures appeared in the crowd. Countless people turned their gazes towards the white-robed young man in the lead. He exuded an unparalleled magnificence and was clad in a simple white robe, yet it was unable to conceal his radiance. His demeanor was extremely outstanding, and there were those who had seen Qin Wendian 100 years ago who sighed in admiration. Qin Wendian had changed again, his aura was even more transcendent. As the Lifeire Empyrean, he was already a major character of a region. Is this the Lifeire Empyrean? Those who didn't come in the previous banquet silently mused as they surveyed Qin Wendian, filled with curiosity. Qin Wendian was definitely a legendary character. Back then, when he participated in the previous banquet, he was only at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm. However, tens of years later, he already seized the position of the Lifeire Empyrean and killed the previous Lifeire Empyrean. This was simply a legend, his cultivation speed was truly terrifying. Although there wasn't a high requirement in terms of time to comprehend source origins from the Immortal Emperor realm, the main test was one's comprehension ability. However, to countless people, this was extremely difficult. They might not need a long time to comprehend it, but there was also a possibility that they wouldn't be able to comprehend it no matter how long they spent. However, Qin Wendian managed to accomplish what countless people couldn't. He only used tens of years. The Sky Air Empyrean hasn't arrived yet. It seems like the Kungvutter Empyrean won't be able to make it. Many people silently mused. At this moment, at the top of the 10,000-foot stairway, two extremely beautiful celestial maidens appeared. These two were none other than the two maidens from the previous banquet. Their beauty was unparalleled and their cultivation bases were extremely high. The various palace lords all stood up and greeted, "We pay our respects to the fairies." Jialan Chuyue was at the Lifeire Empyrean's side and wasn't far away from Qin Wentian. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Qin Wentian. 100 years ago, Di Tian was beside her. When he saw this scene, he once said a sentence that she would never be able to forget. Di Tian said that he wanted his woman to be like him, lofty and lofty, being worshipped by others. At this moment, Qin Wentian didn't bow. He calmly stared at the two fairies, there was no fear or respect in his eyes. His woman, Yi Qianyu, was still in the lifelong Saint Hall. It was impossible for him to pay his respects to the women of the lifelong Realm Lord now. The beautiful eyes of the two fairies gleamed with resplendent light as they stared in the direction of the 9 World Palace Lords. When their beautiful eyes swept past Qin Wentian, their gazes froze there. They could see that Qin Wentian didn't have the same respect as the other World Palace Lords. In fact, there was a hint of aggression in his eyes, as though he was scrutinizing them, causing them to feel extremely uncomfortable. Leaving aside their cultivation bases, just based on the fact that they were the women of the lifelong Realm Lord, even a World Palace Lord would dare to look at them with such a gaze? However, Qin Wentian didn't seem to know this. He continued staring at them despite feeling the gazes of the two fairies. This caused coldness to flash in the eyes of the two fairies as they silently noted down the name of this Lifeire Empyrean. Although his talent was outstanding, he actually dared to be so impudent after becoming a World Palace Lord? The two fairies stood on the two sides. After that, from afar, the figure of the lifelong Realm Lord could be seen walking over. The Sky-Air Palace Lord was a personal disciple of the lifelong Realm Lord, and this time around, he was serving beside the lifelong Realm Lord. This caused many people to silently muse that as a personal disciple, the Sky-Air Palace Lord was the most trusted aide of the lifelong Realm Lord. The lifelong Realm Lord's arrival attracted the attention of everyone. Countless people held their breaths as they stared at this lofty character with reverence in their eyes. This man was none other than the master of the lifelong realm, the ruler of the lifelong realm, the king of the lifelong realm. He was supreme and possessed unparalleled authority. The entire world belonged to him. To countless people, they only felt worship and reverence, prostrating themselves in worship to the lifelong Realm Lord. Countless people bowed to him, their respect and worship came from the depths of their hearts. Qin Wentian felt his heart trembling when he saw this. The people of the world revered the strong. Unparalleled strength would naturally represent a supreme status, attracting the attention of the world and the admiration of the masses. However, who would know what sort of character the lifelong Realm Lord was? The people of the world couldn't come into contact with him and he had no direct connection with them. To the people of the world, he was merely a legendary character, an existence that they couldn't touch. He was a god of faith. But today, what he wanted to do was to knock the god of faith of the lifelong realm down from his divine pedestal. The lifelong Realm Lord waved his hand, causing the crowd to fall silent. Staring at the fanatical gazes of the countless people below, he was very satisfied. This was the feeling of authority, this was also the charm of unparalleled strength. Why did the people of the world pursue strength? Only by being strong would one be able to obtain a supreme status, receiving the worship and reverence of the people of the world. The entire world would belong to him. As long as he wanted a beauty, he would be able to add them into his harem. The lifelong Realm Lord was a pragmatic man. He enjoyed power and status, he liked to be worshipped by others. He also enjoyed the joy brought by power. However, when his gaze turned to the direction of the Lifeire Palace and saw Qin Wentian, as well as the Princess Kitamura beside Qin Wentian, the joy he felt was instantly torn apart, causing the humiliation in his heart to surface once again. This was a stain on his reputation. He who was unparalleled was actually being humiliated by his subordinates. He had no way to endure this. In this lifelong realm, he was the king. Only he had the authority to humiliate others. No one else had the qualifications to do this to him. Sit. The lifelong Realm Lord no longer glanced at Qin Wentian as he calmly spoke. Many thanks, Realm Lord. Everyone bowed again. After that, they respectively sat down. The Sky Air Palace Lord also left the lifelong Realm Lord's side and sat on the throne of the 9 World Palace Lords. It's been another 100 years. During these 100 years, I still have to thank everyone for helping me to guard the 9 great realms. The lifelong Realm Lord smiled. Prepare the banquet. As the sound of his voice faded, countless beautiful maidens flew out from the lifelong Saint Hall, preparing the banquet just like in the past. The atmosphere was extremely harmonious and lively, just like before. There was no difference at all. Everyone naturally didn't notice that the desolate Heaven Palace Lord was much calmer compared to before. The Xianyuan Palace Lord also didn't speak as much as before. From the start until now, he didn't even greet the other Palace Lords. We've received the Realm Lord's kindness, how can it be tough? We will naturally do our best even if we have to die 10,000 times. The Sky Air Palace Lord was the first to speak. Everyone echoed in agreement. The lifelong Realm Lord smiled and nodded. 100 years ago, a dance from the Red Dust Immortal Palace toppled an entire city. Everyone, do you all still remember that beautiful dancer from the Red Dust Immortal Palace? As the sound of his voice rang out, those who knew the truth felt their hearts trembling. Those who didn't were all bewildered as they glanced at the people beside them. The beautiful dancer from the Red Dust Immortal Palace 100 years ago. Many people started to discuss in whispers. After that, more and more people recalled that dance from the Red Dust Immortal Palace back then. The most outstanding person shouldn't be forgotten because it was rumored that it was precisely because of her that the previous Lifeire Empyrean died. Yi Qianyu was the woman of the new Lifeire Empyrean. When Qin Wentian became the Palace Lord, the Realm Lord bestowed Yi Qianyu to Qin Wentian. Right now, Yi Qianyu could already be considered as the Palace Lord's wife. However, in such a situation, the lifelong Realm Lord actually referred to Yi Qianyu as a dancer. What did he mean by this? The hearts of many people trembled. The eyes of some experts from the major powers flashed with a dazzling light. It was rumored that the Realm Lord was unhappy with Qin Wentian. Seems like it was true. Everyone's discussion is right. That beautiful dancer is none other than the Lifeire Empyrean's beloved woman. Back then, because the Lifeire Empyrean liked her, I bestowed her to him. The lifelong Realm Lord continued to smile. Speaking of which, I actually felt some reluctance. That beautiful dancer's dance was simply too beautiful, causing one to reminisce about it. Back then, she would often dance with me in the lifelong Saint Hall, relieving me of my boredom. If it wasn't for the fact that Palace Lord Qin liked her, I definitely wouldn't have bestowed her to him. This is the kindness Master has shown to Palace Lord Qin. Palace Lord Qin will naturally remember it. The Sky Air Empyrean laughed. Many people had strange looks on their faces. Speaking of which, this could indeed be considered a kindness. However, for such a matter to be spoken out now, it seemed like he wasn't giving the Lifeire Empyrean any face. In fact, it could even be said that he was trampling on the Lifeire Empyrean's dignity. Palace Lord Qin, today this seat is prepared to use Yi Qianyu to perform another dance. How about it? The lifelong Realm Lord laughed as he asked. Chapter 1744. The lifelong Realm Lord laughed as he glanced at Qin Wentian. He didn't really want to seek Qin Wentian's opinion. He naturally did this intentionally, wanting to humiliate and infuriate Qin Wentian. He then turned his gaze to everyone and smiled. Such treatment is something that can only be obtained in this era of prosperity. Everyone, what do you all think? Realm Lord is so generous, being able to enjoy the dance of Palace Lord Qin's favorite dancer is truly a rare opportunity. The Saddle Dragon Palace Lord laughed, immediately agreeing. I also feel some nostalgia. The dance of that dancer back then truly caused one to reminisce. The Sky Air Palace Lord spoke. He naturally had to agree with his master. He had been waiting until today to act against Qin Wendian because he wanted to humiliate him in front of everyone. It was extremely hard for his master to swallow his anger. After that, many people from the major powers laughed as they discussed. It was like the person they were talking about was just an ordinary dancer and not Qin Wendian's woman. There were also many people who turned their gazes to the Liefire Empyrean, wondering what his reaction would be. However, many of them were disappointed. Qin Wendian actually had no reaction on his face, he calmly watched everything. But how could they know that right now, the killing intent in Qin Wendian's heart towards the lifelong Realm Lord and the Sky Air Palace Lord had already risen to the extreme? He didn't say anything. Right now, Yi Qianyu was still in the lifelong Saint Hall. He wanted to see her first. The lifelong Realm Lord instructed the people around him. Someone immediately went to invite Yi Qianyu over. Everyone enjoyed the banquet and the atmosphere was extremely lively. Palace Lord Qin, that beautiful dancer is truly alluring. I'm sure Palace Lord Qin would often admire her in the Liefire Palace, right? How envious. Someone from the Sword Spirit sect laughed as he spoke to Qin Wendian. 100 years ago, Qin Wendian already had a conflict with the Sword Spirit sect. Back then, he became famous for challenging a genius governor of the Sword Spirit sect. After that, because of the matter with Beauty Xiao, he offended the Sword Spirit sect once more. No wonder the Sword Spirit sect wouldn't forget to humiliate him at such a time. Qin Wendian indifferently glanced at the expert from the Sword Spirit sect who spoke. That indifferent gaze of his caused others to feel a chill in their hearts. When that expert from the Sword Spirit sect saw the look in Qin Wendian's eyes, his laughter grew even more carefree as he spoke. If there's a chance, I would like to admire it more often. Angry? Anger? So what? The rumors of the Realm Lord being unhappy with Qin Wendian could already be confirmed. Qin Wendian's ending most probably wouldn't be any better. At this moment, it was time to beat the dog when he's down. Qin Wendian was arrogant and despotic in the past, not even giving face to the Sword Spirit sect. Not long after, Yi Qianyu was brought over. She was still as sexy and charming as ever. Her long dress fluttered in the wind and just a single glance at her would cause the hearts of many to burn, let alone when she danced. Many people were filled with anticipation. Yi Qianyu, you can go first. The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. Yi Qianyu's graceful figure walked forward, her beautiful eyes glancing at Qin Wendian. When she came to the center of the crowd, the Sky Air Palace Lord laughed loudly. No wonder Palace Lord Qin is so mesmerized by this dancer. Back then, I already knew her charm the moment I saw her. Now that I see her again, it's even more so. Palace Lord Qin must surely enjoy this beauty of the mortal world, right? However, Palace Lord Qin mustn't forget the kindness Master has shown him. This dancer was bestowed to you by Master. In the future, remember to let her come to the lifelong Saint Hall often to relieve Master's boredom. Before she dances, let me ask her a few questions. At this moment, Qin Wendian suddenly spoke. He then spoke to Yi Qianyu. Qianyu, come over here. Pimichum, Yi Qianyu smiled. Her beautiful figure flashed as she appeared beside Qin Wendian. This caused the lifelong Realm Lord and the Sky Air Palace Lord to frown, but they didn't stop her. They were waiting for Qin Wendian to go against the Realm Lord's orders. After that, they would find him to settle the debt. Qianyu, you wait at the side first. Qin Wendian nodded to Yi Qianyu. Yi Qianyu smiled again and walked behind Qin Wendian as though nothing had happened. She had already received the message from Qin Wendian. Today, her man was going to fall out with the lifelong Realm Lord. Although she didn't know what capabilities Qin Wendian had, since he said he wanted to do this, he naturally had his own reasons. Qin Wendian, what do you mean by this? The Sky Air Palace Lord roared. He coldly spoke, Master is still waiting for this dancer's dance. Are you ignoring his orders? Who the hell do you think you are? Are you even qualified to speak to me like this? Qin Wendian glanced at the Sky Air Palace Lord. In an instant, everyone who had lifted their wine cups to drink felt their wine cups hanging in the air. This was all because of this domineering statement. Qin Wendian actually dared to say that the Sky Air Palace Lord was nothing in front of everyone. Although he was now the Life-Fire Empyrean, the Sky Air Palace Lord was one of the top 3 world palaces. In addition, he was also the personal disciple of the lifelong Realm Lord. His status was comparable to the desolate Heaven Palace Lord. Qin Wendian actually dared to be so arrogant. In an instant, countless gazes converged onto Qin Wendian. This sentence of his was like a thunderclap, exploding forth in the atmosphere of the banquet, as though the prelude to a storm was about to erupt. The Sky Air Palace Lord was first stunned. After that, his expression turned ashen as his heart turned ice cold. Qin Wendian humiliated him in front of everyone. Very good, seems like today, he wouldn't have to worry about not having an excuse to deal with Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian actually took the initiative to jump out and court death. Although he knew that this would happen sooner or later, he didn't expect it to happen so quickly. He truly couldn't bear to do this. Palace Lord Qin, do you know what you are doing? The Sky Air Palace Lord coldly questioned. Back then in the lower world, you were also so arrogant in front of this seat. You didn't know what's good for you and wanted to kill me on the spot. But in the end, you couldn't even receive a single sword strike from me. If it wasn't for the fact that you are the personal disciple of the lifelong Realm Lord, I would have already killed you with a single sword strike. How would trash like you have the chance to speak such arrogant words here? Simply shameless, you even dare to bark like a dog in front of this seat. As a palace lord, do you still have any face? Qin Wendian roared, directly exposing the past, mercilessly humiliating and mocking the Sky Air Palace Lord. Such past matters to Qin Wendian wasn't something worth showing off. He couldn't even be bothered to mention it. However, the Sky Air Palace Lord truly didn't know shame. He actually dared to humiliate him again and again, wanting to see him become a joke. Since this was the case, he would let the Sky Air Palace Lord know what humiliation was. As expected, as the sound of his voice faded, countless people were shocked. Whispers could be heard as numerous gazes shifted from Qin Wendian to the Sky Air Palace Lord. The two of them actually had such a battle. As the personal disciple of the lifelong Realm Lord, the Sky Air Palace Lord couldn't even receive a single sword strike from Qin Wendian. Even the lifelong Realm Lord frowned as he stared at the Sky Air Palace Lord. Back then, the Sky Air Palace Lord didn't explain things like this to him. Upon sensing the gazes of the lifelong Realm Lord and countless people, the Sky Air Palace Lord's expression instantly turned ashen. A malevolent look appeared on his face as he stared at Qin Wendian. How dare you speak such nonsense, ruining my reputation. Deny. Qin Wendian stared at him and coldly laughed. Seems like you really didn't mention this to the Realm Lord. Since you say that this seat is speaking nonsense, in that case, this seat will challenge you again in front of the Realm Lord. If you can receive a single attack from me, it will be my loss and I will apologize on the spot. If you can't, I won't show mercy to you like I did back then. I will directly slay you under my sword, lest you continue to tarnish the Realm Lord's reputation. The Sky Air Palace Lord's expression contorted, but he didn't dare to accept the challenge. Clearly, fear still lingered in his heart. Upon seeing this scene, how could everyone not understand that Qin Wendian's words were actually true? What a terrifying Life-Fire Empyrean. Many people felt shock in their hearts. 100 years ago, he was merely an immortal emperor, sparring with the Sky Air Palace Lord. At that time, to the Sky Air Palace Lord, he was merely a minor character. But now, just 100 years later, he actually shouted at the Sky Air Palace Lord and even defeated him with a single sword strike. What sort of strength was this? The expressions of the people from the Sword Spirit sect also twitched. Qin Wendian was actually so powerful. If this person wasn't eliminated, he would definitely be a source of trouble in the future. Luckily, the Realm Lord might act against him today. As expected, the lifelong Realm Lord was extremely unhappy at this moment. The Sky Air Palace Lord was publicly humiliated by Qin Wendian and was even defeated with a single strike. This was truly a loss of face for him. Was Qin Wendian retaliating against him? Qin Wendian, let's talk about this matter later. Earlier, I've already said to let everyone enjoy the dance of that dancer first. The lifelong Realm Lord changed the topic. He would slowly settle the debt later on. Reporting to Realm Lord, we can't talk about this matter later. I have something to report to you. Qin Wendian spoke. It's about me and Princess Kitamura. Michum. The eyes of the lifelong Realm Lord flashed. Speak. He really wanted to hear what Qin Wendian wanted to say. Actually, Princess Kitamura and I aren't truly fellow apprentice and junior apprentice brother. However, both of us have received guidance from a senior and can be considered half a fellow apprentice and junior apprentice brother. Back then when we came to the supreme ancient immortal realms, we encountered some trouble. At that time, my cultivation base was still low, and in order to better move about outside, Princess Kitamura decided to pretend to be my senior apprentice sister. After that, the two of us have been using this identity to announce our relationship to the public. Qin Wendian slowly spoke. The lifelong Realm Lord naturally already knew about this. His lips curled up in a sharp smile. Was Qin Wendian preparing to confess and beg for forgiveness? Qin Wendian was also observing the lifelong Realm Lord. When he saw the expression on the lifelong Realm Lord's face, Qin Wendian understood that the lifelong Realm Lord already knew about this. No wonder he would use Yi Qianyu as a hostage. And then? The lifelong Realm Lord coldly asked. Although Princess Kitamura and I aren't fellow apprentice and junior apprentice brother, we have experienced life and death together in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Our feelings for each other have surpassed that of fellow apprentice siblings. Back then when I killed the previous Lifeire Empyrean and Realm Lord was considering how to deal with this, you told Yu Huang that you can consider letting me take over the position of the Lifeire Empyrean, and at the same time, you wanted to take her as a concubine. Because of me, Princess Kitamura actually chose to sacrifice herself and agreed to Realm Lord's request. And today, Realm Lord is going to announce this news. Hence, I said all of this because I want to tell Realm Lord that this matter is impossible. I won't allow Princess Kitamura to do this. Qin Wendian slowly spoke. Impudent. The expression of the lifelong Realm Lord turned completely cold. Qin Wendian spoke for him. In addition, from the tone of his words, it was as though he was threatening Princess Kitamura to become his concubine. The words he used were even saying that Princess Kitamura was willing to sacrifice herself and compromise. Preposterous. The Sky Air Empyrean roared in rage. A pair of adulterers, actually daring to humiliate my master like this. Master taking her as a concubine is her glory and grace. It's the same for her when he gave you the position of Palace Lord. To think that the two of you actually colluded with each other, repaying kindness with enmity, and even dared to slander my master. Glory? Grace? Qin Wendian laughed. Realm Lord is already so old, yet you are still so lecherous and despicable. The two of you, master and disciple, are truly alike. Do you still want face? Qin Wendian's words were like a bolt of lightning in a clear sky. Chapter 1745. Qin Wendian's voice wasn't loud, but each and every one of his words ruthlessly smashed into the hearts of everyone. Today was the grand banquet of the lifelong realm that was held once every 100 years. Today, many people would be able to see the character they believed in, the lifelong Realm Lord. Today was the grandest day of the lifelong realm. However, on such a day, the lifelong Realm Lord's subordinate, Qin Wendian, actually insulted the lifelong Realm Lord in public. Despite his age, he was shameless and lecherous. Insulting the lifelong Realm Lord, such a thing was something they didn't even dare to imagine. But at this moment, someone actually did it. In fact, many people didn't even have the time to react. They came here to participate in the banquet, to see which geniuses would appear. But they didn't expect that they would see such a huge commotion. In the history of the lifelong realm, such a thing had never happened before. Let alone insulting the lifelong Realm Lord, no one even dared to criticize him. The lifelong Realm Lord was a lofty existence, the master of the lifelong realm. Who would dare to show any disrespect? Many people felt their hearts trembling. Even the various palace lords didn't expect Qin Wentian's retaliation to be so ferocious. Qin Wentian's retaliation was so sharp and direct. Borrowing my woman for a dance? In that case, I will insult you in front of everyone, calling you a shameless lecher. The people from the Sword Spirit sect and the other peak powers were all stunned. Was this fellow courting death? Countless gazes turned to the lifelong Realm Lord. Right now, they were thinking, what was the lifelong Realm Lord thinking in his heart at this instant? Most probably, his killing intent was towering up into the sky. The lifelong Realm Lord still sat there, he actually didn't say anything. Even he was shocked by Qin Wendian's words. Who was he? The master of the lifelong realm? No matter how he thought about it, he would never have imagined that Qin Wendian would dare to insult him in public. So what if Qin Wendian was hacked into 1,000 pieces? Today, his reputation had already been damaged. Right now, he was thinking about how he should deal with Qin Wendian, his woman, and his family exactly. The most vicious methods of punishment instantly appeared in his heart. He wanted to make Qin Wendian regret living in this world. The Sky Air Palace Lord was first enraged, but after that, the killing intent in his heart intensified. Qin Wendian would die for sure this time. Even if he was the disciple of Realm Lord Yi, so what? Yi's disciple dared to insult a Realm Lord at the same level as him. What could Yi say if he killed him? Qin Wendian's death was inevitable. What they needed to do now was to redeem the lifelong Realm Lord's reputation. Everyone in the world was watching. The matter today would be circulated through the entire lifelong realm in an extremely short period of time. If Qin Wendian's words were proven to be true, the lifelong Realm Lord, who was a supreme character of faith, would have an irremovable stain on his reputation. Realm Lord, this subordinate requests to capture the Lifeire Empyrean and kill him on the spot. The Saddle Dragon Empyrean spoke. My Sword Spirit sect is willing to do anything for the Realm Lord. The sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect stood up and personally spoke. This subordinate also requests to kill Qin Wendian and capture everyone around him. The Scarlet Origin Palace Lord stated. After that, many major powers stood up with righteous indignation. It was like the person Qin Wendian insulted wasn't the lifelong Realm Lord but them instead. At this moment, they naturally had to stand out and speak for the Realm Lord, expressing their loyalty. In this vast space, an uproar rang out. Amidst the commotion, some people noticed that the Desolate Heaven Palace Lord and Xianyuan Palace Lord, these two hegemonic characters actually didn't express their stance. Naturally, there was no need for them to say anything. They would definitely stand on the Realm Lord's side and were only waiting for the Realm Lord's command. At this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord lifted his hand. After that, everyone fell silent. His might could be clearly seen. Princess Kitamura. The lifelong Realm Lord suddenly spoke. He stared at Princess Kitamura and spoke, "You are the clearest about the matters back then. It's true that I hesitated if I should allow Qin Wendian to take over the Lifeire Empyrean's position. From my point of view, there are still others I can consider. As for me, it's because I admire you that I wanted to take you in as my woman. I asked for your opinion and you didn't object. If not, why would I, the lifelong Realm Lord, force you to be my woman? Also, Qin Wendian, you killed the previous Lifeire Empyrean and I didn't hold it against you. I even allowed you to take over the Lifeire Empyrean's position and bestowed Yi Qianyu to you. However, I didn't know that you had such a relationship with Princess Kitamura. You guys can just tell me directly, why would I hold it against you? Why must you slander me? Master, this adulterous couple actually dared to go against you, agreeing to your request. Most probably, their goal back then was the position of the Lifeire Empyrean. Now, when they saw that Princess Kitamura agreed to marry you, they suddenly felt regret in their hearts. This is why they repaid kindness with enmity, slandering Master. Such despicable characters, Master will never forgive them. The Sky Air Palace Lord cooperated and spoke. The two of them echoed each other, as though Qin Wendian and Princess Kitamura were the real despicable characters, repaying kindness with enmity. Fascinating. Qin Wendian praised. The relationship between me and Yu Huang is pure. I, Qin Wendian, am upright and upright, how would I not dare to acknowledge my own woman? Yi Qianyu is none other than my woman. Back then, I joined the Lifefire Palace precisely because of her. Realm Lord should be very clear about this point. In addition, on the day I became the Lifefire Palace Lord, I even announced this in the Lifefire Great Hall. There's no way Realm Lord doesn't know about this. However, towards my woman, Realm Lord imprisoned her in the lifelong Saint Hall. What are your intentions? Is this also considered a favor to me? Realm Lord referred to my woman as a dancer, allowing her to perform a dance in front of everyone. Is this considered a favor to me as well? Lifelong Realm Lord, just this matter earlier is already sufficient to let everyone in the world know what sort of person you are. How about it? The two fairies beside you are extremely beautiful. Why don't you get them to perform a dance for everyone to admire? Qin Wendian calmly spoke. You dare to be disrespectful to the fairies? The Sky Air Palace Lord roared in anger. I heard that the lifelong Realm Lord's harem is as many as the clouds. So what if the two fairies dance? Naturally, maybe the two fairies were forced to join the lifelong Realm Lord's harem back then. If this is the case, I, Qin, would like to apologize to the two fairies. Qin Wendian still wanted to clear his name. How was that possible? The lifelong Realm Lord suddenly laughed. This seat has lived for countless years. As the Realm Lord of a region, I've naturally met many beauties. My harem is as many as the clouds, what's wrong with that? There are countless beauties in the world who want to become my woman. Do I even need to threaten them? Today is the banquet of the lifelong realm. Initially, it was a joyous occasion, but I didn't expect that someone would disturb the mood. Who is going to capture this disgraceful person for me? The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. We're willing to serve the Realm Lord. In an instant, many experts from the major powers stood out, expressing their willingness to act. The lifelong Realm Lord continued sitting there. There was no need for him to do some things personally. It would be beneath his status. Given his status, a single command was sufficient. He really wanted to see why Qin Wendian dared to do this. Who exactly gave him such courage? In an instant, countless experts stepped out, surrounding the Lifefire Palace. At this moment, the expressions of countless people on the Lifefire Palace's platform changed. These included many monarchs and governors of the Lifefire Palace, as well as many experts from the major powers. Although they came together with Qin Wendian, they weren't willing to follow Qin Wendian and face the lifelong Realm Lord's anger together. There was an 80% chance that Qin Wendian had gone mad and was courting death. They didn't want to send themselves to their graves. Someone immediately spoke, although I'm a monarch of the Lifefire Palace, I'm also a subordinate of the Realm Lord. I would never dare to commit such a disgraceful act. Realm Lord, please forgive me. For those who have nothing to do with this, just step out. I won't pursue this. The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. He wasn't stingy with displaying his magnanimity at this moment. In an instant, many monarchs left. Those who followed Qin Wendian all hesitated. They also felt that Qin Wendian's actions today were simply too crazy. Could it be that they really had to follow Qin Wendian down this path? Although they had vowed to follow Qin Wendian, right now, this was a matter of life and death. Their opponent was the lifelong Realm Lord, they had no choice but to be cautious. Very swiftly, some people left. Qin Wendian didn't stop them. The number of people on the Lifefire Palace's platform continued to decrease. At this moment, it would be strange if they didn't flee. If not, they might be caught in the crossfire. They didn't want to die together with Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian, just give yourself up. The sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect personally acted. The sword intent radiating from him was incomparably sharp. Qin Wendian stared at the experts from all directions rushing over. He calmly glanced at the air. At this moment, the desolate Heaven Palace, Xianyuan Palace and Jialan clans still didn't act recklessly. Before Qin Wendian displayed his strength that could contend against the Realm Lord, they wouldn't step out. Even if they had the heart to support Qin Wendian had to have sufficient strength first. If not, they would only be accompanying him to death. You are truly foolish. Qin Wendian stared at the sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect as he spoke. His words caused the gaze of the sect leader to turn even sharper as his sword intent grew even stronger. There seemed to be a sword soul of a wise ancestor appearing, descending from the void, exuding a desolate killing intent. Today, since I came here, I naturally want to contend against the lifelong Realm Lord. You are so eager to gain merits, wanting to curry favor with the lifelong Realm Lord. Have you not thought about what would happen to your Sword Spirit sect if I have the strength to contend against the lifelong Realm Lord? Qin Wendian's words caused the expression of the sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect to change. He suddenly felt a sense of unease in his heart. Could it be that Qin Wendian came here today with preparations? Could it be that he had a backer who could contend against the lifelong Realm Lord? He still didn't dare to imagine that Qin Wendian himself would have such strength. Just based on the fact that your Sword Spirit sect agreed with the lifelong Realm Lord and spoke disrespectfully to my woman earlier. From today onwards, the Sword Spirit sect will no longer exist in this world. As the sound of Qin Wendian's voice faded, his white robes fluttered as beams of light shot out, shining directly onto the body of the Sword Spirit sect leader. Arg! An incomparably miserable scream rang out. To the shock of the crowd, the body of the Sword Spirit sect leader was instantly riddled with holes. After that, his body started to turn illusory as though he was about to shatter into countless fragments. At this moment, the face of the Sword Spirit sect leader was filled with boundless terror. He stared at Qin Wendian in fear as boundless regret filled his heart. From today onwards, the Sword Spirit sect leader would no longer exist in this world. No! The Sword Spirit sect leader screamed in terror. After that, his body grew increasingly weaker and with a light swishing sound, he directly transformed into fragments and dust, disappearing into the air. Chapter 1746. Qin Wendian took a small step forward. In an instant, those experts who surrounded him all retreated in fear. All of them had looks of terror on their faces as great waves rose in their hearts. The sect leader of the Sword Spirit sect, what kind of powerful character was he? A beam of light shot out from Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian died, turning into dust, he had no way to resist at all. At this moment, many people suddenly realized that Qin Wendian wasn't courting death by insulting the lifelong Realm Lord in front of everyone. Rather, he might have stepped into the legendary realm. The Empyreans of the 9 world palaces and many world palaces felt their hearts pounding. How could this be possible? In just 100 years, could this really be accomplished? They had never seen or heard of such a thing before. Below, the countless experts were all in a daze. Was this new Lifire Empyrean planning to defy the heavens? Once, he rose up in the grand banquet of the lifelong realm. Now, it was another grand banquet of the lifelong realm. This time around, he was going to compete for supremacy. Based on Qin Wendian's words earlier, how could everyone not understand that the target he wanted to compete for supremacy was none other than the lifelong Realm Lord? Heaven Heart Mandate. At this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord who was seated on the throne spoke. His eyes stared at Qin Wendian. He didn't expect that Qin Wendian didn't come here purely to throw his life away. Qin Wendian actually came here with preparations, targeting him. Back then when Qin Wendian insulted him, he still thought that Qin Wendian might have someone backing him up. As a character at the World Overlord level, the lifelong Realm Lord knew very well how difficult it was to step into this realm. The more he knew, the more he didn't dare to imagine. Stepping from the mid-stage Immortal Emperor realm to the World Overlord realm in just 100 years, what sort of concept was this? Upon hearing the words Heaven Heart Mandate, the hearts of all the Empyreans trembled violently. They naturally understood the meaning of these words. Heaven Heart Mandate was the symbol of the strength of a World Overlord. Qin Wendian, he was actually already a World Overlord. The Sky Air Palace Lord's countenance could no longer be described with just the word unsightly. He naturally didn't expect this, not even in his wildest dreams. Only now did he understand what Qin Wentian meant when he said he didn't have the qualifications. Right now, he truly didn't have the qualifications to speak equally with Qin Wentian. The people of the Jialan clan felt their hearts shaking. Jialan Jiangshan's heart was trembling, the younger generations would surpass us in time. He suddenly felt that he had truly aged. Once, he saw Qin Wentian and Di Tian breaking through to the Empyrean realm at the same time and killing the Lifeire Empyrean. Today, he saw that Qin Wentian comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate and killed the Sword Spirit sect leader with a single strike. Jialan Yuntian, Jialan Yunhai, Jialan Chuyue, and the others all felt speechless in their hearts. They could only stare at that young man in a daze. Was this the source of his confidence? The eyes of the Xianyuan Palace Lord gleamed with sharpness. Back then in the ancient battlefield in ancient Azure Mystic, he had already experienced the sharpness of Qin Wentian. But even so, he still found it hard to mask his shock at this moment. Seems like Qin Wentian had some miraculous encounters in the ancient battlefield and came back prepared. But even so, if Qin Wentian didn't die, his future accomplishments would surely far surpass the lifelong Realm Lord. If he had to choose who to follow, he would naturally choose Qin Wentian. But even so, he was still struggling in his heart. If he wanted to stand out, this was naturally the best opportunity. If not, once the situation became clear, it would be meaningless. This might be a huge gamble. Di Tian transmitted his voice to the people of the Xianyuan clan. He decided that he would treat this seriously today and wouldn't act recklessly. But now, it might be time for him to choose a side. Countless people had their own thoughts in their hearts. No one noticed the fear and regret in the hearts of the experts of the Sword Spirit sect. They personally witnessed their sect leader being killed in a single strike. Right now, they could only pray that the lifelong Realm Lord would be able to kill Qin Wentian. If not, their Sword Spirit sect would be the first to be destroyed by Qin Wentian. No wonder you dare to be so impudent. So it turns out that you have some confidence. You want to slander this seat because you want to rebel? The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. At this moment, he still didn't forget to clear his name. Lifelong Realm Lord, since your innate character is despicable, why are you unwilling to admit it? Given your despicable character, you have been sitting on this seat for so many years. I wonder how many people have been wronged. Today, it's time for you to abdicate. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. However, his calm voice was like a thunderclap. Today, it's time for you to abdicate. The Lifeire Empyrean, Qin Wentian, wanted the lifelong Realm Lord to abdicate, wanting to replace him. What arrogant words. Just because you comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate and stepped into this realm, you think you can defeat this seat? You want to take over the entire lifelong realm with just the few of you. Qin Wentian, your ambitions are too great. You exposed yourself too early and are destined to die prematurely. The lifelong Realm Lord was as expected of a world overlord. Even at this moment, there weren't too many fluctuations in his emotions. The feeling he gave off was as steady as a mountain. Indeed, it's time for you to abdicate. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. The eyes of the lifelong Realm Lord flashed with coldness as he stared in a certain direction. When everyone saw who the person who spoke was, all of them were shocked. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord. The hearts of those who came here to watch the banquet trembled violently. Today, they came here to watch the banquet, but they actually saw a huge commotion. Was it going to erupt now? The desolate Heaven Palace Lord had always been the #1 World Palace Lord of the 9 World Palaces. But now, even he stood out and spoke for Qin Wentian, saying that it was time for the lifelong Realm Lord to abdicate. 2 World Palace Lords had betrayed him. One was a legendary character, Qin Wentian. He rose up like a shooting star, unexcelled in the world. The other was the desolate Heaven Palace Lord, the #1 World Palace Lord. Huang Zhan, you are too impudent. The Sky Air Palace Lord coldly spoke. Master granted you the position of World Palace Lord and even wanted to accept you as a disciple, treating you like one. Yet, you actually have the heart to rebel? Treating me like a disciple. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huang Zhan coldly laughed. The reason why I can live until today is because of the protection of a woman. Everyone in the world thinks that I, Huang Zhan, am the #1 World Palace Lord of the 9 World Palaces. But who would know that I'm nothing but a coward who doesn't even dare to fight for my own woman? Realm Lord, back then you snatched away the woman I love and you have always been on guard against me. When I threaten you, I'm afraid that would be the date of my death. To think that after so many years, you are still so despicable and shameless, using such methods to deal with others. Today, I would rather be mocked by everyone in the world. Even if I might die here, I will expose your character. Despicable and shameless to the extreme. The desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huang Zhan had endured for too long. Now, there was finally someone who stood out to oppose the lifelong Realm Lord. He didn't want to endure any longer. He clearly knew that if he spoke out about this matter, his reputation would be tainted and he might even be mocked by others. However, he didn't care anymore. Even if the lifelong Realm Lord obtained victory today and killed Qin Wentian, the lifelong Realm Lord's reputation would still be tarnished. Unless he killed everyone who came here today. But clearly, this was impossible. How many people came here today to participate in the grand banquet? If he did so, his ending would surely be extremely miserable. The crowd was in an uproar once again. The lifelong Realm Lord actually snatched away the woman the desolate Heaven Palace Lord loved. This was simply. In that case, everything Qin Wentian said was true. The lifelong Realm Lord was actually such a despicable person. At this moment, many people felt their beliefs crumbling as their worldview was toppled. That's right, those supreme existences, although they lived in legends, they were still humans. As long as they were humans, they would naturally have desires and greed. The lifelong Realm Lord was lustful. For this, he didn't hesitate to use despicable methods to obtain them. He felt that the entire lifelong realm belonged to him. As long as he was interested in a woman, he would obtain them, even if they were the women of his subordinates. In that case, Qin Wentian was indeed forced to rebel by him. Just like what Qin Wentian said, the lifelong Realm Lord imprisoned Yi Qianyu in the lifelong Saint Hall and used her to perform a dance. Even if he didn't want to rebel, he had no choice but to do so. Seems like the two of you have planned this for a long time and have already joined forces in the dark, sparing no expense to destroy this seat's reputation. If you guys want my position, just come and snatch it. Why is there a need to do this? The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke, his tone indifferent. It was as though the words spoken by Qin Wentian and the desolate Heaven Palace Lord were slandering him. He naturally wouldn't admit to it. Realm Lord, there's no need for you to deny it. This matter is known by all the elders in the past. Although you are lofty, it's also a fact that you are despicable. It's best if you just abdicate. At this moment, Jialan Jiangshan, who was in the Lifire Palace's side, also spoke. Only now did everyone notice that this time around, Jialan Jiangshan and the others weren't sitting on the towering platform in Lifelong City. They were sitting on the Lifire Palace's side instead. Who else has joined forces with Qin Wentian? All of you can step out now. This seat doesn't mind having a few more clowns jumping around. Even at this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord was still suppressing his anger. From this, one could see how terrifying his endurance was. Speaking of this, I also recalled some things in the past. At this moment, the Gemini Palace Lords spoke. They stared at the lifelong Realm Lord and spoke, "Lifelong Realm Lord, you should remember that the relationship between you and my master back then was very good, right? At that time, you were extremely humble and polite, extremely friendly to my master. You invited my master to a secret realm to seize a treasure, and after experiencing danger, you actually wanted to hog it all for yourself. After my master saw your character clearly, he started to distance himself from you. You felt guilty in your heart and suggested for the two of us to take on the positions of the Gemini Palace Lords. However, what can this position be compared to the treasure you covet? That is a world divine weapon. Another palace lord from the 9 world palaces stood out. Also, only now did those who didn't know the truth understand that the master of the Gemini Palace Lords was also an extraordinary character, an existence on the same level as the lifelong Realm Lord. Seeing the desolate Heaven Palace and Gemini Palace standing out, the Xianyuan Palace Lord made a decision in his heart. Huang Zhan was the #1 expert of the 9 world palaces and the master of the Gemini Palace was Yi. It was time for him to choose a side. He knew that he wouldn't be able to stand alone. If he didn't stand on Qin Wentian's side, if Qin Wentian was the one who had the last laugh, their Xianyuan clan would be in dire straits. He had to make a decision now. This subordinate's ancestor once followed Realm Lord to conquer the lifelong realm. During these years, he has always been loyal to Realm Lord. However, today, I have no choice but to stand out and say something. The words of the Palace Lords are all facts. Realm Lord, it's a fact that your cultivation base is extremely high, but it's also a fact that your character is inferior. Why don't you step down from the 100-year banquet today? You are no longer suitable to sit in that position. The Xianyuan Palace Lord chose to stand on Qin Wentian's side. Out of the 9 world palaces, the Kungbutter Palace Lord had already died. In truth, there were only 8 world palace lords left. Out of the remaining 8 world palace lords, 4 of them betrayed the lifelong Realm Lord, wanting him to step down. They were the desolate Heaven Palace, Xianyuan Palace, Gemini Palace and Lifefire Palace. The strength of these 4 world palaces was even stronger compared to the other 4 world palaces. The 100-year banquet of the lifelong realm this time around was truly earth-shattering. Chapter 1747. The desolate Heaven Palace was the #1 palace out of the 9 world palaces. The Xianyuan Palace was the first palace that followed the lifelong Realm Lord. It was one of the 3 strongest world palaces together with the desolate Heaven Palace and Sky Air Palace. The Gemini Palace was also very powerful and had 2 world palace lords. Both of them weren't simple characters. As for the Lifefire Palace, in truth, it had already surpassed the desolate Heaven Palace. Because, with Qin Wentian, he alone was sufficient. Hence, the weight of these 4 world palaces had already far surpassed the Sky Air Palace, Scarlet Origin Palace, Dragon Saddle Palace, and Gem Metal Palace. This meant that the number of subordinates who betrayed the lifelong Realm Lord and the number of people who wanted him to abdicate was actually more than the number of people who supported him. When such a scene happened before their eyes, how could this not be earth-shattering and heaven-shaking? Everyone was completely stunned as they stared at the sky. At this moment, those people who were waiting to see Qin Wentian become a joke and felt that Qin Wentian was courting death were all stunned. They couldn't see the situation clearly. How could this be? Before this, they all felt that Qin Wentian was courting death. But in the blink of an eye, there were actually so many experts supporting Qin Wentian. Those who joined the lifelong Realm Lord and mocked Yi Qianyu earlier were all dumbfounded. They were filled with regret in their hearts. If the lifelong Realm Lord were to abdicate today, their consequences could very well be imagined. They silently cursed themselves for being foolish. What was the point of them joining in? The lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't even glance at them. But now, they actually offended Qin Wentian to death. Those monarchs who left the Lifefire Palace because of a single sentence from the lifelong Realm Lord were all completely dumbfounded. What situation was this? There were actually 3 world palace lords supporting Qin Wentian. This was simply too crazy. This scene caused them to feel a sense of similarity to the Lifefire Palace in the past. If the same thing happened again in the lifelong realm, what would their ending be? When they thought of this, all of them felt terror in their hearts. Right now, they could only hope that the lifelong Realm Lord could eliminate Qin Wentian. If not, their lives would be in danger. Very good. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression grew heavy. The 4 palaces betrayed the Jialan clan as well. Since the Xianyuan Palace Lord betrayed the Xianyuan Palace, the Xianyuan clan would naturally betray as well. This meant that there were 2 major powers at the peak of the lifelong Realm Lord right now. This kind of weight was already very heavy. Moreover, the various palace lords all came out to accuse him of being despicable. This made him understand that his reputation in the immortals' realm of immortals was thoroughly ruined. It was impossible to wash it clean even if he wanted to. I've always treated you well. Just what conditions did he promise you to make you betray me? Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Everyone who participated in the rebellion today will be killed, and their families and powers will be punished. Even if you betrayed me, you should be prepared to pay the price. The lifelong realm lord coldly spoke. He stood up from his throne and in an instant, an incomparably terrifying energy enveloped this entire space. This was the power of his world heart, a heart domain. Everyone felt as though they were in a wondrous domain. They could all feel the lifelong realm lord's rage, the terrifying flames that burned in their hearts. It has been so many years since we last met. Lifelong, you are still the same as before. Once you are angered, there's no way for you to conceal your emotions. At this moment, a voice drifted over. The lifelong realm lord's expression froze as he stared in the air. At this moment, his eyes gleamed with sharpness to the extreme as he spoke, so it's an old friend who has arrived. I was wondering why they had the courage to betray me. So it was you who controlled everything from the shadows. Now, do you want to seize the entire lifelong realm? I'm not as infatuated with authority as you are. You should understand this point. I've never interfered in the matters today, I'm merely someone who knows about it. My disciple reported this to me, that's why I came back to take a look. The voice in the air rang out. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. Who exactly had arrived? Who could actually speak to the lifelong realm lord on equal grounds? In the void, a figure slowly appeared. This person wore a simple long robe and there was nothing special about his attire. He looked middle-aged and was extraordinarily handsome. His entire body exuded a heroic bearing. We pay our respects to Master. The Gemini Palace lords bowed. At this moment, many people already knew the identity of this person. A world overlord, a friend of the lifelong realm lord back then. Emperor Qin Wentian stared at the lanky figure in the air. Although he was middle-aged, one could still see his handsome features. When he was young, he must have been an extremely handsome young man. Junior Qin Wentian pays my respects to Senior Yi. Qin Wentian bowed to Emperor Yi. He and Emperor Yi were fated for a very long time and now, he finally had the chance to meet this legendary character. This was an ancient emperor of Azure Mystic, a legendary character praised by many. Yi glanced at Qin Wentian. His starry eyes flashed with an unmasked look of admiration. Qin Wentian. Senior knows of me? Qin Wentian asked. Emicham, I already know of your matters. The younger generation will surpass us in time, you are much more outstanding compared to me. Yi smiled. From a certain perspective, this young man before him could be considered half his successor. Qin Wentian had inherited his legacy, inheriting the position of the next Saint Lord and the power of God's hand. Senior praises me too much. Maybe Senior doesn't understand Junior very well, but ever since I learned the secret art in the City of Ancient Emperors, I've already formed an indissoluble bond with Senior. I would often hear rumors about Senior and now, I've finally met you in person. Qin Wentian smiled. This feeling was very wondrous. A legendary character had finally appeared before his eyes. He didn't know that in Azure Mystic, many people felt the same way when they saw him. Are you very disappointed? Yi laughed. Naturally not. It's my fortune to be able to personally witness Senior's glory. Qin Wentian spoke from the bottom of his heart. Ha, you have already comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate and will soon be at the same level as me. There's no need to be so humble. Yi laughed as he stared at Qin Wentian. After hearing their conversation, only then did the lifelong realm lord know that Qin Wentian wasn't Yi's disciple. In fact, this was the first time the two of them met. In that case, everything was just his own imagination. Yi, since you don't know anything about the matters here, what are your plans now that you have returned? At this moment, the lifelong Realm Lord spoke, interrupting the conversation between him and Qin Wentian. If he wanted to act against him, things would truly be troublesome. Qin Wentian had also comprehended a Heavenheart mandate. As long as he restrained him, no one else would be able to obstruct Qin Wentian. Countless people were stunned. The situation seemed to have changed in an instant. An existence on the same level as the lifelong Realm Lord appeared. In addition, this existence had an extremely good relationship with Qin Wentian and was also the master of the Gemini Palace Lord. If he interfered, who said that he wouldn't be able to pull the lifelong Realm Lord down from his high horse today? He glanced at the lifelong Realm Lord. After that, he turned to Qin Wentian. What are you preparing to do? Since Senior is here, why don't you be a witness for me? Qin Wentian spoke. I was originally the Lifefire Palace Lord under the lifelong Realm Lord. However, he bullied me too deeply. Back then, he actually threatened my good friend Yu Huang to become his concubine. Now, he even publicly humiliated my woman, Yi Qinyu. It's very easy to resolve this matter today. The lifelong Realm Lord will apologize to Princess Kitamura in front of everyone and get the two fairies beside him to perform a dance for him. Also, he will step down from his position and leave the lifelong realm. I won't pursue this matter any further. Qin Wentian's words caused everyone to be stunned. How could the lifelong Realm Lord agree to such conditions? A mocking smile appeared on the lifelong Realm Lord's face as he coldly spoke. You instigated my subordinates to betray me. Even if he protects you today, it's still not enough. In that case, there's no way to resolve this conflict. Yi spoke. Since this is the case, I can only ask the lifelong Realm Lord for guidance. Senior, please help me control the situation in case the lifelong Realm Lord becomes desperate and kills the juniors. I also won't participate in the slaughter of the experts from the lifelong Saint Hall. As for the following battles, I will let them settle it themselves. You and I will fight. Qin Wentian officially issued a challenge to the lifelong Realm Lord. Just when many people thought that Qin Wentian's backer was Yi and he would join forces with Yi to deal with the lifelong Realm Lord, he alone issued a challenge to the lifelong Realm Lord. Indeed, to a character at his level, if he acted against others, it would be equivalent to a massacre. However, Qin Wentian wasn't afraid at all. Even if Yi didn't come, this place was the lifelong Saint Hall. The lifelong Realm Lord's family and harem were still here, and he had many descendants. Could it be that he had no worries at all? Unless he killed Qin Wentian first. If not, as long as he displayed strength that could threaten him, the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Naturally, since he had appeared, it would naturally be for the best. Are you challenging me? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wentian. You should have some good encounters in Ancient Azure Mystic, right? After you stepped into this level, you are in such a hurry to prove your strength. Since this is the case, I'll grant you your wish. I'll let you know the price of arrogance. Once, the Lifefire Empyrean was the same as you, thinking too highly of himself. But now, he has already been dead for many years. Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke. Ha, you actually dare to compare this seat with the Lifefire Empyrean? The lifelong Realm Lord laughed. His silhouette flashed as he soared up into the air. In an instant, a resplendent light illuminated the area above the crowd. An incomparably gigantic ancient tree blotted out the sky, blocking the sun, moon, and constellations. The lifelong Realm Lord's title was Longevity. His world heart was the lifelong world heart. Be careful, the lifelong Realm Lord has comprehended two types of Heavenheart mandates. Yi transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. His silhouette was like a bolt of lightning as he soared up into the sky. Everyone below, listen up. Kill all the traitors on the spot. After this battle, we will give out rewards. For those from the various major powers who participate in this battle, if there are any contributions, we will consider filling up the 5 empty World Palace Lords. The lifelong Realm Lord's voice rang out from below. 4 World Palace Lords rebelled and one of them died. The lifelong realm now lacked 5 world palace lords. Just a single sentence from the lifelong realm lord caused the hearts of many peak powers to pound with excitement. An Empyrean from the Sword Spirit sect coldly spoke, "My Sword Spirit sect is willing to fight for the realm lord. Who is willing to join forces with my Sword Spirit sect to kill the traitors?" To the Sword Spirit sect, they had no other choice. They had to step out. Chapter 1748. Although 4 out of the 9 world palaces rebelled, there were still 4 world palaces that supported the realm lord. In addition, there were many peak powers in Lifelong City. In addition, there were many Empyreans who came to the grand banquet this time around. If they were all willing to stand on the lifelong realm lord's side, this battle would still be effortless. They would be able to take down Qin Wendian's subordinates and quell this rebellion. But the problem was that the victor between Qin Wendian and the lifelong realm lord had yet to be determined. He was in existence on the same level as the lifelong realm lord. Who would dare to say that the lifelong realm lord would win for sure? If they stood out to kill Qin Wendian's subordinates and the final victory belonged to Qin Wendian, the consequences would be unimaginable. That would truly be a calamity. Naturally, if the lifelong realm lord won, they would also be able to obtain many benefits. If they could choose, many powers would rather give up on the benefits they obtained and not participate in this storm. But in truth, many powers had no choice. For example, the other 4 world palaces. If they didn't participate, the lifelong realm lord wouldn't spare them even if he won. But if Qin Wendian won, even if Qin Wendian didn't kill them, there would be others who would replace them. For those powers that weren't under the lifelong realm lord's control, things were still fine. If Qin Wendian won, he most probably wouldn't find trouble with them. But if the lifelong realm lord won, he would surely suppress them. Hence, to many powers now, they were in a dilemma. In the lifelong Saint Hall, many extraordinary characters appeared. There were both males and females, they were the lifelong realm lord's family. Since such a major incident happened, they naturally had to come out. Upon seeing these people appearing, more and more major powers stepped out. Experts were as common as the clouds and there were many Empyreans among them. These powers all had an unbreakable connection with the lifelong realm lord. Among them, several of them had sent their most outstanding women to the lifelong Saint Hall, becoming part of the lifelong realm lord's harem. There were also many beauties who were married to the lifelong realm lord's heirs or major characters in the lifelong Saint Hall. Hence, there were still many people who participated in this battle. Traitors will be killed without mercy. All of you have received the realm lord's grace and are considered hegemons of a region. But now, you actually want to protect yourselves. There was a beautiful middle-aged woman who exuded an extraordinary aura. Many people didn't recognize her, but those from the peak powers all knew that this woman was one of the favored concubines of the lifelong realm lord. She had both beauty and strength. Her status in the harem of the lifelong Saint Hall was extremely high and she could even influence the matters of the lifelong Saint Hall. As the sound of her voice faded, many other powers walked out. Someone spoke, "That's right, the Lifire Palace started a rebellion. At this time, we naturally have to fight for the realm lord and quell the rebellion, killing the traitors." At this time, another extremely beautiful woman flashed over. Her beautiful eyes stared in the direction of the barren Heaven Palace Lord, and her beautiful face paled. Bue. Huang Zhan felt pain in his heart when he saw the woman he loved appearing. She was already the lifelong realm lord's concubine. He felt extremely conflicted in his heart. "Bitch, go back." The beautiful woman from before berated Fairy Bue. Fairy Bue's countenance turned pale. Upon seeing this scene, Huang Zhan released a violent aura as he coldly spoke, "Concubine Lu, how dare you?" "What? Huang Zhan, you can't stand it. Could it be that the two of you have a secret relationship? Bue truly doesn't abide by the rules of a woman. After this battle, I will definitely teach her a lesson." Concubine Lu icily spoke. "I will definitely kill you." Huang Zhan's aura gushed forth. He soared through the air, rushing towards his opponent. However, the Sky Air Palace Lord shot out with lightning speed, blocking him. A sword manifested, slashing apart the void. Follow me and kill. In order to repay the Realm Lord's kindness, we will kill the traitors. An expert from the Sword Spirit sect roared, boosting the morale of his troops, wanting more people to join the battle. Fight! The Xianyuan Palace Lord roared. Right now, they had no choice but to fight. Jialan Jiangshan stared at the experts of his opponents as he silently sighed in his heart. He didn't know if the choice he made today was a blessing or a calamity. He hoped that the Jialan clan wouldn't be destroyed in his hands. Stepping out, Jialan Jiangshan slaughtered his way through the crowd. His heart was incomparably resolute. The experts from both sides joined the battle at the same time. For a period of time, the air in the air was filled with their auras. The expressions of the experts below all changed. They naturally didn't expect that the 100-year grand banquet of the lifelong realm would end up like this. A world-shaking battle erupted. Qin Wentian's side doesn't seem to be in a good situation. Although he has appeared, he most probably wouldn't participate in this battle. Also, the foundation of the lifelong realm is something the Lifeire Palace can't contend against even if Qin Wentian activated the Lifeire Palace. The crowd silently mused. Although the ending of this battle would be determined by the victor between the lifelong realm lord and Qin Wentian, it would truly be too cruel if all of Qin Wentian's subordinates were killed. At this moment, from the crowd below, numerous figures suddenly shot out with lightning speed. Their speed was simply too fast, so fast that it was inconceivable. For one of them, a world manifested behind him, encompassing the myriad of phenomena. He sped towards the direction of the Sword Spirit sect like an arrow leaving the bow. Boundless Source Origin's energy instantly erupted forth, transforming into the power of a primordial world. It was like the primal chaos had split the heavens and the end of the world had arrived. The expression of that Empyrean from the Sword Spirit sect who was encouraging the morale of the sect earlier drastically changed. He only saw numerous origin sources rushing over at the same time, blotting out the sky. A pair of fists was akin to an entire world smashing towards him. The sword souls of the previous sages erupted forth, transforming into a boundless sword intent that could destroy the heavens and earth. However, when the phantoms of the previous sages clashed against that fist, they were all shattered. That world-destroying fist light directly slammed into his head and a final thought appeared in his mind. The Sword Spirit sect is finished. Who is that? Many people felt their hearts trembling as they stared at the figure that appeared. It was actually a delicate and handsome young man. He looked extremely young, but right now, he was like a monarch, descending from the heavens. In another direction, a gigantic golden beast appeared. His entire body was cast from gold and exuded an incomparably imposing aura, like the king of all beasts. He opened his mouth wide and let out a roar that shook the sky, transforming into a heaven-devouring might. Many experts felt their bodies going out of control as they were sucked towards the gigantic mouth. No! Someone screamed in terror. He was about to be devoured by the gigantic beast. In another direction, a group of devils appeared. Their devil might towered up into the sky and some of them shone with blood-colored judgment light, targeting the experts of the Sword Spirit sect. There were also devils of darkness that directly appeared behind the experts of the Sword Spirit sect, wanting to drag them into the darkness and slaughter them. There were also devils that summoned devil kings, wanting to slaughter everything. Not only so, at this instant, more and more figures soared up into the air, joining the battle. They seemed to have appeared out of thin air, hiding in the crowd, waiting patiently until now to erupt forth with shocking might. They directly appeared in the various battlefields. Among them, the Sword Spirit sect had the most people. Because, Qin Wentian personally said that he wants the Sword Spirit sect to cease to exist. Hence, the Sword Spirit sect suffered the strongest attacks. Before this, they were also the ones who were the most arrogant. But in the blink of an eye, the Sword Spirit sect faced a true calamity. The people of the Sword Spirit sect only felt boundless terror and despair. What sort of existence did they offend exactly? The Sword Spirit sect leader mocked Yi Qianyu earlier, causing the entire Sword Spirit sect to be annihilated. Many people of the Sword Spirit sect felt intense hatred towards their sect leader before they died. They hated him for dragging the entire Sword Spirit sect into this storm. So what if the lifelong Realm Lord was victorious in the end? They could no longer see the end. Who are they? The countless spectators below were all shocked. Where did this army of Empyreans come from? Although Empyreans were considered above the Emperor realm, they were at the half-step World Overlord realm. But in reality, they wouldn't be able to tell. They might have comprehended source origins, but they still haven't truly transcended the immortal Emperor realm. If they wanted to hide, even a World Overlord wouldn't be able to sense them. Hence, no one knew that there was an army of Empyreans hidden among the spectators. Concubine Lu's beautiful eyes froze as her expression turned extremely unsightly. Those powers who stood out suddenly felt regret. Qin Wentian's arrangements were much more terrifying compared to their imaginations. Although they didn't know where these people came from, it was clear that they had a connection with Qin Wentian. For those who didn't step out to participate in the battle, they all heaved a sigh of relief and decided not to participate in this storm. No matter what would happen in the future, they wouldn't participate. The price was too great. Let alone the people of the lifelong Realm Lord, even the desolate Heaven Palace, Xianyuan Palace, Gemini Palace Lord and the Jialan clan were all stunned by this sudden turn of events. After that, they felt excitement in their hearts. Seems like Qin Wentian has long prepared everything. This caused their confidence in Qin Wentian to grow even stronger. This fellow was simply a miracle. The Xianyuan Palace Lord suddenly discovered that these inconspicuous people seemed somewhat familiar. He had seen them before. These were the people that Qin Wentian brought to the ancient battlefield. At that time, he didn't pay them any heed and he didn't pay them any heed either. Only now did he truly discover that there were actually many Empyreans among these people. But, didn't Azure Mystic have no Empyreans at all? Could it be the ancient battlefield? When he thought of this, the Xianyuan Palace Lord's heart trembled. What good fortune did Qin Wentian have exactly? At this moment, Yi quietly stood in the air and stared at a figure in the air. That person wielded a divine bow and was unceasingly shooting out terrifying arrows, killing one with each arrow. This person was none other than Feather, one of his followers back then. There were also many people around Feather. He could sense a familiar aura from them. Clearly, they were all from the Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wentian didn't mistreat the Battle Saint tribe at all. The accomplishments of these people were even higher compared to the people around him. The Gemini Palace Lord naturally saw this as well. Smiles could be seen in their eyes. The experts of their tribe were all so powerful. At this moment, their hearts were filled with gratitude towards Qin Wentian. Before this, everyone felt that other than the lifelong Realm Lord and Qin Wentian, the lifelong Realm Lord's faction would have the absolute advantage. However, they didn't expect the situation to suddenly change. Qin Wentian actually hit an Empyrean army and used absolute strength to suppress his opponents. Today was the 100-year grand banquet of the lifelong realm. Was the lifelong realm really going to change? Chapter 1749. During the grand banquet of the lifelong realm, many people came to spectate. They did see many major characters, but they didn't see the tens of thousands of people bowing to the lifelong realm lord. They didn't see geniuses competing against each other, they didn't see the monarchs of the 9 world palaces fighting against each other. When they came here, they saw a heaven-shaking rebellion. Qin Wentian started a rebellion against the 4 world palaces and was now leading an army of Empyreans. He himself has also comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate and no one knew if he has already broken through to the World Overlord realm. This time around, the energy Qin Wentian unleashed was even more ferocious compared to the time when he was at the Lifire Palace. He was like a hot knife cutting through butter, wanting to take over the lifelong realm in a single move. Qin Wentian was originally the Lifire Palace Lord. In the martial world, strength was the most important thing. If Qin Wentian could defeat or even kill the lifelong Realm Lord, there was no doubt that he would directly become the new Realm Lord. he basically didn't need anyone's approval. He would be the overlord of this world, ascending to the throne, becoming a supreme existence. In fact, he would even be able to change the name of the lifelong realm. If he ascended, it would be a change of dynasty. Clearly, he would use his title to name this world. The battle in the air continued. The army of Empyreans that appeared was unstoppable. However, the lifelong realm lord also had many Empyreans. Although they were somewhat dazed earlier and were caught unprepared, they still had the strength to fight back. Although it was very forceful, they still managed to defend against the frenzied attacks of their opponents. The attacks of the desolate Heaven Palace Lord Huang Zhan were extremely tyrannical. He fought against the personal disciple of the lifelong realm lord, the Sky Air Palace Lord. Each of his attacks were tyrannical and deadly. When Fairy Bus saw this scene, she didn't know what she was feeling. Even if Huang Zhan won in the end and she regained her freedom, so what of it? Could everything return to the past? It was impossible. She already had a son of the lifelong realm lord. If that was the case, wouldn't Huang Zhan and her son become enemies? Love and hate, these were the hardest things to resolve in the world. Huang Zhan had endured for so many years and finally erupted today. This also required a great deal of courage. In the air, the lifelong realm lord was surrounded by ancient trees that blotted out the sun, resembling an ancient divinity. Right now, his eyes were no longer as calm as before. His cold killing intent was no longer masked as he stared at Qin Wentian. I didn't expect that these people were brought out by you from the ancient battlefield, right? No wonder you have comprehended a Heavenheart mandate. What did you obtain in the ancient battlefield? The ancient battlefield is filled with divine depositories. I've already reported to you that I have something important to do and it's not convenient for me to return. Yet, you forced me to return. Back then, the Lifefire Empyrean died in my hands precisely because he used Yi Qianyu to threaten me. Why do you want to repeat the same mistake? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Ha ha ha, how can this seat not know? If it wasn't for the fact that you are Yi's disciple, I might have put you in an important position back then. Also, it's precisely because I know of the grudge between you and the Lifefire Empyrean. Hence, after you killed the Lifefire Empyrean, I once wanted to kill you directly or expel you from the lifelong realm. However, what's laughable is that this seat actually thought that Princess Kitamura was your senior apprentice sister and wanted to show kindness to you, wanting you and Princess Kitamura to be on my side. Who would have thought that the two of you are actually a pair of dogs? In the end, I still made you hate me. If I knew this would happen, why would I nurture a tiger? The lifelong realm lord coldly spoke. Lifelong realm lord, given your lofty position, you are already used to thinking that you are infallible. You basically don't care about the feelings of others. Let me repeat myself once more. Princess Kitamura and I are pure and innocent. Right now, we are already standing in opposition to you. I, Qin Wentian, am upright and upright, why would I need to lie? But even so, do you think that making her your concubine is a show of kindness? Who do you think you are? Qin Wentian mocked. Despicable people naturally won't admit their own despicableness. Today, you saw yourself being betrayed by your allies and many of your subordinates. Could it be that my rallying power is so great? Do all of them feel that I will definitely win against you? Because you have gone against humanity and are unpopular, yet you are still so complacent. Shut up. The lifelong realm lord coldly snorted. Since you started a rebellion, you should know the consequences of failure. Not only will you die, Princess Kitamura and Yi Qianyu will also pay a price. I heard that you even brought 2 beautiful wives with you to the Lifefire Palace. This seat just so happens to want to admire them. After you die, this seat will take care of them for you. The lifelong realm lord was clearly enraged. He no longer paid attention to his own words. Despicable words flowed from his mouth, revealing his true nature. What an ugly face. Qin Wentian spoke. His body was bathed in boundless radiance. Right now, it was useless to say anything more. They could only fight. The winner would be the king and the loser would be vilified. This seat will do as I say. The lifelong realm lord coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, ancient trees towered up into the sky, filling this entire space. In the air above Qin Wentian, a gigantic ancient tree descended from the sky, transforming into countless ancient vines that blotted out the sun, locking down this entire space, not allowing Qin Wentian to escape. Kill! The lifelong realm lord coldly roared. Those incomparably gigantic vines grew frenziedly, the tips of the vines were as sharp as swords. They frenziedly shot towards Qin Wentian with inconceivable speed. World Heart, Heart Domain. Within this domain, everything was enveloped by the longevity Heaven Heart's mandate. There was no way for one to escape. Around Qin Wentian, vines also grew frenziedly, shooting towards Qin Wentian, burying him in the air. Within the heart domain, there was no way to block. Qin Wentian's body was instantly entangled. At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly radiated boundless light. In a battle of this level, what mattered was the strength of one's Heaven Heart mandate as well as the usage of it. Boundless light enveloped Qin Wentian. Everywhere the light shone upon, everything was reduced to nothingness. This Heaven Heart mandate that Qin Wentian comprehended was somewhat similar to the yang flame he saw in the world of 10,000 laws. However, this Heaven Heart mandate was a fusion of light and sword origin energy, in addition to his own comprehension. He named this Heaven Heart mandate, Light Flames. This Heaven Heart mandate contained an incomparably terrifying penetrative power. Although it didn't fuse spatial energy with it, it was in addition to his comprehension of space. When the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames was released, everything in the surroundings was directly shattered into nothingness. Those extremely sturdy vines that were entangling him were all incinerated. In addition, the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames continued to penetrate through everything, shooting towards the lifelong Realm Lord. This was the first time he truly used a Heaven Heart mandate to fight against a world overlord. He also wanted to see how strong his Heaven Heart mandate was when compared to other world overlords. The sealed space was broken apart by the power of the Heaven Heart mandate of Light Flames. But in the next instant, the vines that blotted out the sun were reborn, destroyed and reborn, reborn and destroyed again. This Heaven Heart mandate was known as the lifelong Heaven Heart mandate. The lifelong Realm Lord even used this Heaven Heart mandate to derive his world heart, hoping that he would be able to live forever. Not only would this Heaven Heart mandate have immense attacking prowess, it would also have an extremely strong recovery ability. However, the lifelong Realm Lord didn't have a complacent look on his face. From this exchange of blows, he could already sense that Qin Wentian's Heaven Heart mandate was very strong, extremely strong. It was actually able to directly destroy his Heaven Heart mandate. In addition, he could also sense that Qin Wentian didn't seem to have comprehended a world heart. Qin Wentian was merely using pure Heaven Heart mandate to attack. You haven't stepped into the world overlord realm yet? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wentian. If I wanted to break through, I could have done so before this battle with you. It's just that I'm not like you with such mediocre talent. You only comprehended an ordinary Heaven Heart mandate and used it to derive your world heart. Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke, mocking the lifelong Realm Lord's talent. His words caused the lifelong Realm Lord's expression to turn unsightly. Arrogant. You want to comprehend a transcendental Heaven Heart mandate and regenerate a world heart? What arrogant words. I'm afraid you won't have a chance to do so. Since I clearly know that I have to fight against you, but I still haven't broken through to the world overlord realm. Could it be that you still don't understand what this means? I've never treated you, the lifelong Realm Lord, as my opponent. You are still not worthy. You are merely an ordinary world overlord whom I killed before I broke through to the world overlord realm. Qin Wentian continued to mock. It was true that he didn't comprehend a world heart. But in reality, he could do so, but he chose not to. There could be many types of Heaven Heart mandates, but there was only one type of world heart. Although he could still change it in the future, he wanted to stabilize his foundation first before planning to expand it further. Back then, after the Skybreak heavenly deity learned of this matter, he also knew that he had once misunderstood Qin Wentian. The disappointment in his heart also vanished like smoke. This fellow's ambitions were truly great. Although he first comprehended a Heaven Heart mandate, it was merely an attempt. He didn't plan to derive his world heart after he comprehended it, completely stepping into the world overlord realm. After Qin Wentian experienced the various secret realms, he had a very strong sense of his own views regarding his own cultivation. In fact, the Skybreak heavenly deity knew that there was no need for him to interfere in the process of Qin Wentian stepping into the world overlord realm. He could allow Qin Wentian to comprehend things on his own, and he would only occasionally guide him. There has never been a lack of geniuses in this world. It's just that the vast majority of them died because of their arrogance. The lifelong Realm Lord spoke again. His silhouette flashed as he shot towards Qin Wentian, bringing with him countless ancient vines. Qin Wentian's body was still radiating light. The Heaven Heart mandate of the lifelong Realm Lord was frenziedly unleashed within the heart domain of the lifelong Realm Lord, unceasingly destroying the vines shooting towards him. However, the vines before the lifelong Realm Lord were all destroyed and reborn, forming an extremely strong defense for him. Go to hell. The lifelong Realm Lord stretched out his palm towards Qin Wentian and abruptly clenched his fist. Qin Wentian waved his hand. The Heaven Heart mandate of the lifelong Realm Lord penetrated through everything. However, he discovered that the shattered vines didn't completely vanish. As the lifelong Realm Lord clenched his fist, the vines actually transformed into a dark green viscous substance that resembled the chi of the void, frenziedly gushing into Qin Wentian's body. Corrosion. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly spoke. Every strand of chi that entered Qin Wentian's body transformed into a destructive corrosive energy that corroded Qin Wentian's body. His flesh directly rotted as his wounds rapidly expanded. The Heaven Heart mandate of the lifelong Realm Lord was frenziedly unleashed, wanting to expel and purify this corrosive energy. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly laughed. He stretched out his palm as the dark green viscous substance frenziedly gathered around Qin Wentian, burying him within. As to why he comprehended the lifelong world heart, it was because he could allow other types of energy to be destroyed and reborn within his world heart, undying and indestructible. For example, his second Heaven Heart mandate, corrosion, could cause Qin Wentian's body to turn into a pool of blood. Not even his bones would remain. Chapter 1750. The lifelong Realm Lord was the ruler of an entire world. He naturally had his outstanding points. The lifelong Realm Heart could be used together with the corrosive Heaven Heart mandate, allowing the corrosive energy to flow endlessly until the opponent was completely corroded. Back then, he used the longevity Heaven Heart mandate to create a world heart precisely because he wanted to see how powerful the longevity Heaven Heart mandate was. The boundless corrosive energy continued to corrode Qin Wentian's body, causing Qin Wentian's body to be corroded bit by bit. A malevolent smile appeared on the lifelong Realm Lord's face. Genius? Stepping into the world overlord realm from the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm within 100 years. So what of it? No matter how high one's talent is, no matter how powerful a genius is, they would still be unable to defeat the word, death. As long as they died, everything would be transformed into nothingness, no longer existing. He stared at Qin Wentian's body disappearing bit by bit as his expression turned cold to the extreme. Qin Wentian wasn't even a world overlord, yet he dared to fight against him. Courting death. In the air, the overwhelming energy dissipated. The countless vines retracted, vanishing in an instant. World overlords had a world heart and had comprehended Heaven Heart mandates. Their control over energy was extremely powerful. It was just a matter of a single thought. The battle has ended. Countless people inclined their heads and stared at the vanishing silhouette of Qin Wentian. The lifelong Realm Lord was still standing there. At this moment, the subordinates of the lifelong Realm Lord were all in a state of wild joy. As for the experts on Qin Wentian's side, their countenances all turned pale. If the lifelong Realm Lord killed Qin Wentian on the spot, there would only be a single ending for them, destruction. Master is mighty. The Sky Air Palace Lord roared. He was suppressed by Huang Zhan and felt extremely depressed. Right now, his gaze when he looked at Huang Zhan was like he was looking at a dead man. Since his master had killed Qin Wentian, everything has ended. A complacent smile appeared on the lifelong Realm Lord's face. But at this moment, he seemed to have suddenly sensed something. His brows furrowed as boundless energy gushed forth once more. In just an instant, countless vines bloomed, blotting out the sun as boundless energy formed a barrier before him. This sudden change caused many people to be puzzled. In the next instant, they saw an extremely intense beam of light. Qin Wentian's body transformed into a beam of light as he punched out with a fist of light, containing incomparable might. The power of the blazing light Heavenheart mandate instantly shot towards the lifelong Realm Lord. Upon seeing Qin Wentian's figure appearing once more, the arrogant smile on the Sky Air Palace Lord's face instantly froze. Huang Zhan roared, "Prepare to die." The battle below instantly erupted with even more ferocity and intensity. And in the air, when Qin Wentian's fist of light slammed into the light barrier made of vines, the terrifying power of the blazing light Heavenheart mandate, along with the innate technique, directly penetrated through the light barrier and shot towards the lifelong Realm Lord's body. The beams of light were tyrannical to the extreme, directly penetrating through the lifelong Realm Lord's body. With a boom, the lifelong Realm Lord's body exploded into pieces, transforming into nothingness. However, Qin Wentian only saw a figure flashing by. At the instant the lifelong Realm Lord's body was destroyed, another figure actually appeared beside him. This figure was also the lifelong Realm Lord's silhouette. He has a world divine weapon on him that contains an extremely unique energy. It allows him to instantly split into another body when he's in danger, using that body to replace his death. It's very hard for your attacks to kill him. Below, Yi reminded. Before this, he didn't interfere because he wanted to see Qin Wentian's capabilities. When Qin Wentian fought against the lifelong Realm Lord, he originally didn't take him into consideration. He naturally had his own confidence and at such a time, he naturally wouldn't interfere. He wanted Qin Wentian to sense it himself. It was just that right now, Qin Wentian had already come into contact with the lifelong Realm Lord's core ability. This was the reason why he reminded Qin Wentian. That world divine weapon was something he obtained from the lifelong Realm Lord back then when he was training with him. The lifelong Realm Lord kept it for himself and it was an extremely powerful life-saving treasure that had miraculous effects in battle. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. He was actually almost killed by Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian just entered this realm and comprehended the power of Heavenheart mandates. His Heavenheart mandate was actually so tyrannical that it could directly threaten him, a true world overlord. Also, earlier, how did Qin Wentian vanish before his eyes and reappear out of thin air? Being able to hide from his world heart, what sort of ability was this? There was only one possibility. Qin Wentian also didn't just comprehend a single type of Heavenheart mandate. This young man before him used such a short period of time. Other than the Light Blaze Heavenheart mandate, he actually comprehended other types of Heavenheart mandates as well. This definitely wasn't something that could be summarized with the word fortuitous encounter. If one didn't have extremely high comprehension abilities, it was basically impossible to accomplish this. What Heavenheart mandate is that? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Qin Wentian as he asked. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at the lifelong Realm Lord. It was true that he didn't just comprehend a single type of Heavenheart mandate. Earlier, the Heavenheart mandate he used was called the Illusory Void. What the lifelong Realm Lord saw were all illusions while he used the power of his Heavenheart mandate to conceal himself. The powerful illusory Heavenheart mandate caused the lifelong Realm Lord to be unable to discover his true body. This time around, Qin Wentian felt even more confidence in his Heavenheart mandate. As expected, his Heavenheart mandate was much stronger compared to ordinary world overlords. If not, he would definitely be discovered. In addition, his attacks were also able to break through the defenses of his opponents. I initially thought that I would underestimate you. Hence, I was extremely careful. Who would have thought that a world overlord like you is actually so weak? Seems like I have overestimated you. Qin Wendian didn't reply to the lifelong Realm Lord's words. He coldly continued, just an attack of this level and you actually need to borrow the power of a divine weapon to protect your life? It's about time for you to scram from the position of the overlord of a world. Let me return your words to you. After you die, there's no need to worry. I will take care of the lifelong realm. As for your family and friends, I will naturally arrange them for you. The lifelong Realm Lord's expression grew more and more unsightly. He no longer had the calmness he had when he sat on the throne earlier. Qin Wendian's words were a domineering counterattack to his earlier words about taking care of Qin Wendian's beautiful wife. He was the overlord of a world, he was confident and powerful. Because he dared to say this, he didn't even think about what terrifying ending would happen if he was defeated. Right now, when he thought about it, he felt his entire body turning cold. In truth, after this short exchange of blows, he himself was no longer as confident as before. The lifelong Realm Lord took out an ancient mirror. This mirror radiated a mystical energy, it was a world divine weapon. The lifelong Realm Lord waved his hand as the world divine weapon flew into the air. He then formed hand seals as the ancient mirror shone upon the vast space. When the lifelong Realm Lord unleashed another attack, the ancient mirror projected a projection of him, transforming into an attack of the same level, shooting towards Qin Wendian. This wasn't merely a defensive-type world divine weapon. It was also an attack-type world divine weapon. Qin Wendian waved his hand and directly blasted out a beam of light. This beam of light was actually a treasure hoop that radiated a mystical glow that instantly enveloped the ancient mirror. A cold smile appeared on his face, he was just thinking about how to deal with the lifelong Realm Lord's world divine weapon. Should he borrow the power of the lifelong Realm Lord's world divine weapon? But right now, there was no longer a need to think about it. The lifelong Realm Lord was gifting his world divine weapon to him. This treasured hoop had taken in world divine weapons before in the ancient battlefield. Today, it would naturally not be an exception. When the light flashed past, the resplendent ancient mirror that was floating in the air directly disappeared. As for the treasured hoop, it lit up with a dazzling light. This. The lifelong Realm Lord turned pale when he saw this scene. His world divine weapon was actually directly taken away. What grade of treasure was this treasure hoop? It was actually able to directly absorb other treasures from the air. You can die now. Qin Wendian coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, his body transformed into a bolt of lightning, directly vanishing from sight as he launched an attack towards the lifelong Realm Lord. The lifelong Realm Lord released his Heavenheart mandate, instantly causing boundless corrosive energy to corrode Qin Wendian's body. The corrosive energy frenziedly gushed towards him, instantly burying him within, instantly killing him. But this time around, the lifelong Realm Lord wouldn't let his guard down. He prepared himself and didn't pause at all. Qin Wendian's body appeared in the air once again, rushing towards him. It was hard to differentiate which was real and which was fake. The lifelong Realm Lord had an unsightly expression on his face. He roared in rage as boundless corrosive dark green light manifested in the air, wanting to corrode this entire space, regardless of where Qin Wendian was hiding. The same scene appeared again. Qin Wendian seemed to have comprehended the longevity Heavenheart mandate just like him. Qin Wendian was resurrected from the dead, like an undying existence. After this repeated, the lifelong Realm Lord's expression was as unsightly as it could be. But at this moment, an extremely cold intent appeared in his heart as his killing intent towered up into the sky. He discovered a pattern. Qin Wendian's Heavenheart mandate had a limit as well. When Qin Wendian's body was corroded again, the lifelong Realm Lord didn't retreat this time around. He didn't intentionally widen the distance between him and Qin Wendian. Instead, he took the initiative to attack. His attacks were extremely sharp to the extreme. At the instant when Qin Wendian's body was corroded, the lifelong Realm Lord took a step forward and appeared behind the corroded Qin Wendian. A palm strike ruthlessly blasted out towards the void. This palm strike contained the tyrannical strength of a world overlord. With a single strike, even the void would shatter. Anyone who was hiding in the void would be injured or even destroyed. This was the pattern the lifelong Realm Lord discovered. Every time Qin Wendian's true body appeared, it would be at the location where his false body was destroyed. Although he had the ability to create illusions, there was still a limit to it. It was impossible for him to teleport through the void without any fluctuations of his aura. The lifelong Realm Lord didn't force Qin Wendian out because Qin Wendian was right beside him. An extremely dazzling beam of light shot out. Qin Wendian's body that was about to be corroded suddenly turned corporeal. A bolt of lightning directly slashed down, slashing into the lifelong Realm Lord's body. There were no obstructions, it directly slashed through. The full force of the lifelong Realm Lord's attack slashed down, causing numerous bloody wounds to appear on the lifelong Realm Lord's body.